Chapter 41, Total Annihilation. Longjing City Hanling. Brother Yuan is young enough to hold an important position in the Ministry of War, so he must have some outstanding abilities. After confirming that the person coming was not good, Jiang Shang was also rude and started exerting his strength as well. Feeling the resistance from Jiang Shang's hand, Yuan Genoa was first taken aback, but then his fighting spirit rose in his eyes, and he stopped holding back, increasing the strength of his right hand. No matter how hard he tried, Jiang Shang's hand was as strong as steel, not moving an inch, and his face did not show any sign of discomfort. This kid is actually a martial arts master, and his strength is not inferior to mine. A layer of fine sweat appeared on Yuan Genoa's forehead, and he was secretly shocked. Brother Yuan, why are you sweating? Jiang Shang asked curiously. It's a bit hot. Yuan Genoa forced a smile. Really? Jiang Shang narrowed his eyes and suddenly applied force with his right hand. Yuan Genoa let out a muffled grunt, and his body suddenly broke out in a sweat. His clothes were permeated with sweat at a speed visible to the naked eye. All right, you two men don't need to be so reluctant to shake hands. Realizing that something was wrong, Wang Manjin quickly spoke to break the ice. Jiang Shang gave a faint smile, let go of Yuan Genoa, and gracefully withdrew his palm. Yuan Genoa quickly placed his right hand behind his back, gave Jiang Shang an unpleasant look, and then sat back down in his chair without saying another word. At this time, the right hand he had placed behind his back had already been twisted, and it had been broken by Jiang Shang's hard grip. Seeing this, everyone else was a little surprised. They could all tell that Yuan Genoa had suffered at Jiang Shang's hands. But how could Jiang Shang, a little-known nobody, let someone like Yuan Genoa, who had been through the wars in the Ministry of War, suffer? I am Qi Tianming, and Qi Bagua, the mayor of Jiangzhou City, is my father. The other young man, dressed in a Zhongshan suit, stood up and shook Jiang Shang's hand. I currently hold a position at the department level. I have heard a lot about you. Jiang Shang shook the other man's hand without flinching. When Qi Tianming tried to pull his hand back, Jiang Shang grabbed it and wouldn't let go. Brother Jiang. Brother Qi is not a martial artist, don't bully the weak. Seeing this scene, Yuan Genoa's face changed slightly. Even he had a broken bone in his hand from Jiang Shang's grip, and I'm afraid Qi Tianming's hand will be crushed if he replaces him. Qi Tianming was calm, squinting his eyes and looking at Jiang Shang expressionlessly. Brother Qi, as a public servant serving the people, your work must be very hard, but you must also pay attention to your health. Jiang Shang ignored Yuan Genoa and looked at Qi Tianming seriously. Have you often had night sweats and aching back and waist these days? When he said this, Jiang Shang leaned forward and whispered in Qi Tianming's ear, in particular, your ability in that area has seriously deteriorated. Although you have been married for many years, you have never been able to make your wife pregnant? How do you know all this? Qi Tianming's face changed slightly, and he glanced at the others out of the corner of his eye, whispering, you are a doctor? I am a miracle doctor. Jiang Shang smiled proudly and said confidently, I can cure all your issues, and I can guarantee that your wife will conceive within a month. It's not convenient right now, but some other day we can find somewhere to talk in detail. Seeing that Jiang Shang could tell from a handshake alone that he had a physical problem, Qi Tianming already had 80% trust in him. Good. Jiang Shang nodded, and then let go of Qi Tianming's hand. Hey, what are you two big men mumbling about? The short-haired girl growled discontentedly, Jiang, my name is Long Xiaoxia, everyone calls me Little Dragon Girl. My father is the #1 master in Jiangzhou, the owner of Shaotian Martial Arts School, Long Xiaotian. I've heard a lot about you. Jiang Shang habitually extended his hand to the girl. Humph. Long Xiaoxia disdainfully glanced at Jiang Shang's right hand, snorted, and then ignored him. I didn't expect this Long Xiaoxia to be so rude. Jiang Shang awkwardly withdrew his hand, but in his heart he felt a little helpless. Chairman Dong is determined to embarrass me, and he has even gathered the top second-generation rich, officials, military and martial artists in Jiangzhou. I have to say, with Jiang Shang's current identity and status, excluding the halo attached to him by Mingyue, his identity and status are completely unremarkable in the presence of these few truly talented young people. Come, brother Jiang, sit next to me. Wang Manjin said warmly. As the son of a businessman, he had seen how highly Mingyue valued Jiang Shang, and he felt that the Wang family might be able to get on the Ji family's good ship through Jiang Shang, so he was very attentive to him. Brother Jiang, you must sit next to me. Qi Tianming, on the other hand, pushed Wang Manjin away and took the initiative to pull Jiang Shang to sit next to him. Yuan Genoa looked at Jiang Shang with a complex expression. As a soldier, he admired strength. Jiang Sheng was able to break his hand, and Yuan Genoa was convinced. Brother Yuan, this is the restore bone and muscle pill. After taking his seat, Jiang Sheng threw a pill at Yuan Genoa. After taking it, your hand will recover quickly. Thank you. Yuan Genoa took the pill, hesitated for a moment, and swallowed it. His face quickly flushed. In this way, Jiang Sheng gained the approval of the three young masters of Jiangzhou by various means, and the four of them got along very well together. What the hell are you doing? Seeing that Jiang Sheng had inexplicably become the center of attention for a few people, Long Xiaoxia said impatiently, he is just a gigolo who relies on Miss Ji to get ahead. Do you need to be his buddy? I, Qi Tianming, never look at status when making friends. I simply get along with Brother Jiang. Since Brother Jiang is valued by Miss Ji, he must have something special about him. You must not be rude. Little dragon girl, Brother Jiang is a friend I approve of. If you are rude to him, I will not be polite to you. Before Jiang Sheng could say anything, Wang Manjin and the other two men launched into a tirade against Long Xiaoxia. They all stood in Jiang Sheng's camp for different reasons. In the study on the second floor of the villa. Ha, he is worthy of my admiration, the whole thing is a social retard. Looking at Jiang Sheng and the others in the courtyard, Mingyue sat on the sofa in front of the French windows, laughing uproariously. Old Dong, these outstanding young people you found don't seem to be enough in front of Jiang Sheng. Old Dong clenched his fists in a pale face. He had gathered the top second-generation officials, second-generation rich, second-generation military officers and second-generation martial artists in Jiangzhou to teach Jiang Sheng a lesson for his arrogance. But he never expected Wang Manjin, Qi Tianming, and Yuan Genoa to join forces to defend Jiang Sheng, and they had even suppressed the only one targeting Jiang Sheng, Long Xiaoxia, to the point where she could no longer hold her head up. The whole thing was a total rout. It was so strange. How could Jiang Sheng, an unknown nobody, convince those arrogant brats? Girl, you're getting ahead of yourself. Dong Lao took a deep breath and said coldly, although Jiang Sheng has done well in front of these little brats, the best is yet to come. I'll soon show him what it means to be a true member of a big family. What do you mean? Mingyue frowned slightly. Apart from these people, who else have you invited? Dong Lao narrowed his eyes and said in a stern voice, Long Jing City, Han Ling. That crazy woman from the Han family. Upon hearing this, Mingyue's face changed drastically, and he got up abruptly and walked quickly towards the door. Mingyue. You should know that Han Ling has always liked to provoke the disciples of the major families, and even the Han family can't control her. Dong Tianbao reminded without turning his head, if you don't show up, Jiang Sheng will only get hurt a little. But if you stand up for Jiang Sheng, I guarantee that Han Ling will beat Jiang Sheng to death in front of you. Dong Tianbao. Mingyue stopped in her tracks, her back facing Dong Lao, but her body was shaking violently with anger. She gritted her teeth and roared, if anything happens to Jiang Sheng, I will never forgive you in my life. Chapter 42, The Han Families which has arrived. Mingyue, don't be angry, I'm just looking out for your best interests. Realizing that Mingyue was really angry, Dong Lao turned around and looked at Mingyue's back, explaining. Your status is extraordinary. Not only are countless outstanding young people in the 6 provinces of the southeast eyeing you, but there are also countless people pursuing you among the outstanding disciples of the various family powers in the capital of Dragon Capital. You should know better than I do the tactics of those people in the capital city of Dragon King. If Jiang Sheng can't even deal with a Han family outcast like Han Ling, then the only thing waiting for him in the future is a dead end. Don't use for my own good as an excuse. As long as I'm here, I won't let Jiang Sheng face those unbeatable enemies before he grows up. Mingyue turned around sharply and looked at Dong Lao coldly. Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. Jiang Dongling's family head was once your personal bodyguard, and you have always wanted to match me up with his son Ling Yun. Even if you were to call Ling Yun over today to compete fairly with Jiang Sheng, I would not have a problem with that. But who is Han Ling? She is the Han family's witch, who has crippled many disciples from the major families in Longjing City. By letting her meet Jiang Sheng, you are trying to get someone else to do your dirty work. If Jiang Sheng can't even handle Han Ling, then he deserves to die. Facing Mingyue's accusations, Dong Laoren did not deny them. Standing up straight, he said coldly, Han Ling has a fearsome reputation, but she is after all an outcast of the Han family, and is much weaker than those who have the support of the family. If Jiang Sheng can't even deal with her, what makes you think he'll marry you? You. Mingyue, you are right, I do have selfish motives, I want Ling Yun to be with you. But with regard to Jiang Sheng, I am absolutely considering your future together. Dong Lao didn't give Ji Mingyue a chance to speak. In short, if Jiang Shang can come out of Han Ling's hands in one piece, I won't tell your grandfather about your affair. But if he can't even get past Han Ling, then don't harbor any illusions about him. Ji Mingyue clenched her fists and looked worriedly out of the window. I'll say it again, if anything happens to Jiang Shang, I'll never forgive you in this life. Although she has great confidence in Jiang Shang, the next person she will face, Han Ling, is a lunatic, and the hope is too slim. Don't worry. I have my own arrangements to ensure Jiang Shang's safety. Dong Lao responded indifferently, smiling at the corner of his mouth as he looked out the window. Although he doesn't know how Jiang Shang subdued Wang Manjin and the others, the kid doesn't stand a chance against Han Ling. Even if you add up all the young talents in Jiangzhou, it wouldn't be enough for Han Ling to fight alone. In the courtyard, Jiang Shang was chatting with the three young masters, while Long Xiaoxia was left out in the cold with a gloomy expression on her face. Before long, Yuan Genoa suddenly sat up straight, his brows knitted as he looked towards the entrance of the courtyard. The others looked up and saw a beautiful woman dressed in black leisure sportswear, led by a bodyguard, walking towards them. Holy shit, why is she here? Upon seeing the woman in black, Yuan Genoa instantly paled and cried out in alarm. Brother Yuan, who is this woman, and why has she scared you like this? Qi Tianming asked with puzzlement. The others were also very puzzled. Yuan Genoa was an elite soldier who faced mountains of swords and seas of flames without flinching, so how could he be scared like this by a woman? She is Miss Han of the Han family of Longjing City, Han Ling. How could someone from such a big family in Longjing City have come to our small Jiangzhou? Wang Manjin looked at the black-clad woman in disbelief. If that was the case, then this woman's identity and status were not inferior to Miss Ji's. Bullshit. There is no way to compare the two. Miss Ji was the most favored little princess in the Ji family, while Han Ling was a lunatic who had been abandoned by the Han family. However, Han Ling was far more terrifying than Miss Ji. She was a martial arts master in her own right. Back then, she already had the strength of a mid-level internal strength master, and now I'm afraid she's reached the late stage. Yuan Genoa introduced with a trembling voice. I heard that she was unruly from childhood to adulthood, and she caused a lot of trouble in the capital city of Longjing. Even many Han family disciples were seriously injured, so the Han family once sent her to the War Department to gain experience. But when this woman goes crazy, she doesn't care about any organizational discipline, and many comrades in arms and superiors have been seriously injured by her. I once participated in a border battle with the Jiangzhou War Department, and I witnessed this woman abuse and kill hundreds of prisoners of war. At that time, my officer went up to stop her violations, but she ended up breaking his leg. So, is she still with the War Department? Hearing Han Ling's glorious military record, Qi Tianming couldn't help but feel a little panicked. After that, the Han family spent a considerable amount of money to ensure that she was not sent to a military court, but she was removed from the War Department. Even the War Department could not control her, and the Han family was completely disappointed with her. They announced to the outside world that they would no longer pay any attention to Han Ling's affairs and let her fend for herself. Yuan Genoa shook his head in puzzlement and said, I heard that she left for a foreign country, developed her career away from the family, so how did she end up in Jiangzhou? What you're saying is really scary, I can feel my leg muscles turning to jelly. Wang Manjin rubbed his thighs with a sad face. He is just a businessman, where has he seen such a scene before? A heroine among women, she is truly a role model for us. Long Xiaoxia, on the other hand, looked at Han Ling with awe as she walked towards them. This woman is moody and unpredictable, and she will fight if she is unhappy. You must not provoke her. Yuan Genoa gave a stern warning, then got up first and waved at Han Ling with a smile from afar. Wang Manjin, Qi Tianming, and Long Xiaoxia also got up quickly and waited respectfully for Han Ling to arrive. Jiang Shang glanced at the woman and then ignored her, continuing to drink tea with his back to the others. He didn't feel the same sense of tension as the others, and he never took these so-called big shots seriously. The villa study. The moment Han Ling appeared, Ji Mingyue clenched his fists nervously, his palms sweating. This Jiang Shang is so arrogant. Even if Han Ling doesn't have those fearsome reputation, she is still the Han family's young lady after all, and Jiang Shang is really asking for trouble by being so presumptuous in front of her. Dong Lao narrowed his eyes and sneered, Jiang Shang is probably only able to bluff Wang Manjin and the others by using your reputation. But if he still uses your reputation to bully people in front of Han Ling, then he will definitely end up very badly. In the courtyard. Are you the people Han Laosher told me to meet? Han Ling, with her imposing presence, came to the table and coldly surveyed the several people. Hello, Miss Han, I am Dongzhou Battle Department. Wang Manjin and the others immediately bowed respectfully to Han Ling to say hello. Miss Han, I am Long Xiaoxia, I am your biggest fan, I admire you so much. Long Xiaoxia flattered Han Ling with a face full of adulation. I've heard of the names of you all, you are all young talents from Jiangzhou. Han Ling nodded expressionlessly, and finally her gaze fell on Jiang Shang, who was carrying his back. Who is he? Brother Jiang, hurry up and greet Miss Han. Seeing that Jiang Shang was so ignoring Han Ling, Wang Manjin and the other two anxiously spoke up to remind him. You're a deadbeat, when you see Miss Han, don't you get up and greet her? Long Xiaoxia immediately jumped in front of Jiang Shang and pointed her finger at his nose, scolding him. Before, other people defended Jiang Shang, which made her feel very angry, but now, finally, someone has come along who can outshine everyone else. Jiang Shang is so insensitive to the times, so she must make a good impression. Miss Han. Jiang Shang sat in a chair and turned his head to look at Han Ling playfully. Are you sure you want me to bow to you? Chapter 43, Kneel before Mr. Jiang. Dong Lao personally intervened. And saw Jiang Shang's face. Han Ling's face changed slightly. Seeing Han Ling's gloomy face, Yuan Genoa unconsciously moved 2 steps back, afraid that this woman would lose her temper and hurt herself. Brother, this is a big shot in Longjing City, and you are too disrespectful. Wang Manjin and Qi Tianming were speechless for a while, and they both regretted getting too close to Jiang Shang before. Han Ling may not be as important as Ji Mingyue, but she is still a Han from the Han family of Longjing City, and she can easily get rid of them. What's more, this woman is also a martial arts expert, and she can completely dominate them without relying on the family's influence. You useless wimp, how dare you speak to Miss Han like that? Long Xiaoxia wanted to show off at once, and gave Jiang Shang a sharp kick. I'll teach you a lesson for Miss Han right now. How dare you? Before Long Xiaoxia could touch Jiang Shang, Han Ling shouted angrily and slapped her in the face. There was a loud crack. Han Ling was sent flying by the slap. What's going on? Seeing Han Ling actually slap Long Xiaoxia, who had come to her defense, the other people were dumbfounded. She is moody and violent, so you have to be careful. Yuan Genoa reminded her in a low voice with a nasal tone, turning his right foot, and was already ready to run away. How could Xia Longnu help her speak up and still get beaten up? She is also too moody. Wang Manjin and Qi Tianming were so scared that they didn't dare to move, and cold sweat was dripping from them. Miss Han, why is this happening? Long Xiaoxia, whose right cheek was red and swollen, struggled to get up from the ground and looked at Han Ling with incomprehension. Bitch, come here and kneel down for Mr. Jiang. Han Ling looked at Long Xiaoxia without question. Mr. Jiang? Hearing this title, the other few people were again dumbfounded. Legend has it that Han Ling, who is so fierce, actually called Jiang Shang Mr. What is going on? What are you doing standing there? Hurry up and come kneel before Mr. Jiang. Seeing that Long Xiaoxia stood still, Han Ling's pupils contracted and turned brown. Long Xiaoxia, don't you dare get us killed. Yuan Genoa roared, grabbed Long Xiaoxia by the back of the neck with his right hand, kicked her in the crotch, and forced her to kneel directly in front of Jiang Shang. The others didn't know what was going on, but Yuan Genoa knew that the change in Han Ling's pupils was a sign that she was about to go into a rampage. Once Han Ling went into a rampage, it would be the end for them. I really didn't expect that you would be the Han family's eldest daughter. Jiang Shang took a sip of tea and placed the empty cup on the table. You must be laughing at me, sir. Han Ling immediately stepped forward and bowed to serve Jiang Shang some tea. I apologize for not having had time to report these matters to you before, due to the rush. Nima. Seeing Han Ling respectfully serving Jiang Shang tea, Yuan Genoa nearly dropped his jaw. Even the Han family elders probably didn't receive this kind of treatment. Is this still the bloodthirsty and violent Han family witch? Wang Manjin and Qi Tianming looked at each other, then suspiciously at Yuan Genoa. They both felt that what the guy had said earlier was unbelievable. Jiang Shang was an unknown, a nobody who only managed to stand shoulder to shoulder with them thanks to Ji Mingyue's support. How could he be treated with such respect by the Han family's eldest daughter? It was too exaggerated. What the hell was going on? Long Xiaoxia, kneeling on the ground, felt her face flush with humiliation. If she had to kneel before Ji Mingyue or Han Ling, that would be fine, but now she was forced to kneel before Jiang Shang, a man who lived off other people's hard work. What a humiliation! In fact, Jiang Shang had never imagined that the Han family's witch, whom Yuan Genoa had described as so terrifying, would turn out to be the person behind the righteous assembly. She was the beautiful tiger lady, who had been poisoned by the merman's charm. Han Ling was naturally so respectful of Jiang Shang because he had promised to solve her problem with the merman's charm. If Jiang Shang can really cure her, she is willing to serve him as her master and naturally treat him with respect. In the study of the villa, facing everything that happened in the courtyard, Mingyue and Dong Lao were both dumbfounded. Dong Lao was even so shocked that he almost dropped his jaw. He never dreamed that Han Ling, the witch who had caused countless children from major families in Longjing City to suffer, would be so respectful to Jiang Shang. According to Dong Lao's plan, Jiang Shang, a young man with no experience in the world, would definitely annoy the mercurial and fierce Han Ling. Once Han Ling lost her temper, Jiang Shang would definitely be punished severely, if not killed. However, after Han Ling's appearance, not only did she not make things difficult for Jiang Shang, she treated him with respect and even lectured the domineering Long Xiaoxia for him. What is this kid's background? Dong Lao reacted, turned around and picked up a document from the table. I have investigated his background, and he has been the useless son-in-law of the Zhao family for the past 3 years. Why does Han Ling treat him with such respect? I was right, you really are a deep and hidden talent. Mingyue cried out excitedly. She was so worried that Han Ling, that crazy person, would hurt Jiang Shang, and never dreamed that Jiang Shang could even handle that kind of crazy woman. Mingyue, what is going on here? Do you know what his relationship with Han Ling is? Unable to find the reason from the investigation data, Dong Lao asked Mingyue puzzledly. I don't know. All I know is that he is the man I have chosen. Mingyue wiped away her tears and looked at Dong Lao proudly. Even Han Ling behaved like this in front of him, so you have nothing to say now, right? You promised me before that as long as he was in Han Ling's hands and safe and sound, you would not tell my grandfather about us? Hey! A gentleman's word is his bond. Dong Lao sighed helplessly. In fact, Ling Yun is also a pretty good young man. Jiang Shang can even subdue Han Ling, so what is Ling Yun? Mingyue laughed loudly, arrogantly saying, if Ling Yun is capable, let him come and subdue Han Ling too, and try it? Dong Lao was suddenly speechless. Even the disciples of the noble families in the capital of Longjing City could do nothing about Han Ling, and the mere provincial city of Ling Yun would definitely be torn apart by Han Ling. Looks like I'll have to go in person. Old Dong straightened up and looked at Jiang Shang with a menacing gaze. I'd like to see what this kid can do that he can even tame Han Ling. It's about time I showed myself. Mingyue immediately took out a mirror to retouch her makeup, not wanting Jiang Shang to see that she had cried. The courtyard. Jiang Shang leisurely sipped his tea. Han Ling stood behind him, not taking a seat. Wang Manjin, Qi Tianming and Yuan Zhenhua, on the other hand, were sitting uneasily in their seats, all of them only daring to rest half their bottoms on the chairs. But they were better off than Long Xiaoxia, who had been kneeling on the ground the whole time. What, you don't believe it? Han Ling looked coldly at Long Xiaoxia, who looked indignant. My father is Jiangzhou's #1 martial artist, Long Xiaotian. Long Xiaoxia's face flushed as she held her head high. Even if you are from the Han family of Jiangzhou, if you force me to kneel down for such a wimp, I won't submit. If you won't submit, then you can just die. Han Ling didn't bother to waste words, raised her hand and clasped Long Xiaoxia's skull, about to rip her head off. Chapter 44, Dong Lao was slapped in the face. Your life is coming to an end. Holy cow, that was brutal. Seeing that Han Ling was going to kill Long Xiaoxia at the slightest disagreement, Wang Manjin and Qi Tianming were so scared that they almost lost control of their bowels. At the same time, they also believed what Yuan Zhenhua had told Han Ling. This woman is crazy, she wants to kill people at the drop of a hat, she's terrifying. Yuan Zhenhua remained calm, looking at Long Xiaoxia with sympathy. I told you not to mess with this old lady, you're just asking for trouble. Ling, stop. Just then, the voice of Dong Lao suddenly rang out. This is just a little tussle between young people, don't get someone killed. Dong Lao was seen slowly walking over, accompanied by Mingyue. Old Dong, save me, save me. Seeing old Dong, Long Xiaoxia, who was pale, opened her mouth and begged for help with a crying voice. Han Ling, you should calm down your violent temper. Old Dong ignored Long Xiaoxia and looked at Han Ling with a smile. This Long girl is a guest I invited. Even if there is something wrong, you shouldn't touch her on my account. You let me come to the party, and the fact that I could come is already giving you face. Han Ling grabbed Long Xiaoxia's head and coldly looked at Dong Lao. If I want to kill her, why would I need to give you face? Hearing this, Dong Lao's face stiffened. He didn't expect Han Ling to be so disrespectful, it was too insulting. Upon closer inspection, Dong Lao noticed that Han Ling's pupils had turned brown. This Nemo was on the verge of a rampage and no one's face would work anymore. The others looked at Han Ling in fear. Only a disciple from a big family like the Long Jing family would dare to be so disrespectful to Dong Lao. The so-called young talents of Jiangzhou would never dare to be so rude to Dong Lao. Guards! Dong Lao shouted lightly, realizing that Han Ling was about to lose control. Two middle-aged men in black suits rushed into the courtyard quickly, staring at Han Ling warily. Although you two bodyguards are not weak, you won't be able to stop me from killing. Han Ling licked her lips and said contemptuously, anyone who dares to move will have their neck snapped immediately. As soon as she finished speaking, Han Ling began to rotate her right hand, and Long Xiaoxia's head uncontrollably began to rotate as well, as if it would be snapped off at any moment. Seeing this, Mingyue's face turned a little gloomy. Dong Lao's so-called early preparations were actually unable to stop Han Ling in time. If Han Ling attacks Jiang Shang, there is no way to prevent Jiang Shang from being killed, even with Dong Lao's so-called preparations. Han Ling, stop! Just then, Jiang Shang said leisurely, you must learn to control your emotions. Yes. Hearing Jiang Shang's words, the brownish-yellow in Han Ling's eyes instantly disappeared. After respectfully responding, she let go of Long Xiaoxia. Bitch, if you dare to disrespect Sir again, no immortal can save you. Good boy, Jiang Shang's words are even more effective than those of old Dong, he's amazing. Wang Manjin and the others looked at Jiang Shang in admiration. Han Ling didn't even give old Dong face, but she obeyed Jiang Shang's every word, he's amazing. Old Dong, on the other hand, was livid. He had been prepared to personally intervene to give Jiang Shang a good lesson, but instead he had been given a slap in the face. Mingyue's mouth curled up. Although he didn't know how Jiang Shang had subdued Han Ling, the Hongmen banquet set up by Dong Lao today had not caused any trouble for Jiang Shang at all. Immediately afterwards, everyone took their seats, but the atmosphere became a little strange. Dong Lao sat in the main seat with a gloomy expression, and Jiang Shang completely overshadowed him. Mingyue sat gracefully next to Jiang Shang, while Han Ling stood behind Jiang Shang, massaging his shoulders. As for the four young talents of Jiangzhou, they were sitting on the chairs, as if they were sitting on pins and needles. The technique is good, it feels good. Jiang Shang enjoyed Han Ling's massage with a comfortable look on his face, and muttered, but I like your outfit from last night even more. As long as you like it, I'll wear it like that in the future. Thinking about her fiery and sexy cheongsam from last night, Han Ling blushed unconsciously. Xiaoling, how do you know Jiang Shang? Dong Lao looked at Han Ling as if she were a maid giving Jiang Shang a massage, and asked in puzzlement. Everyone else also looked at Han Ling, they also wanted to know how Jiang Shang had made Han Ling so obedient. Several men were jealous and crazy with envy. They really couldn't figure out what Jiang Shang's magic was. Not only was he able to win the favor of the Ji family's eldest daughter, but also subdue the Han family's eldest daughter in the capital city of Longjing? It was so unfair. In the face of Dong Lao's inquiry, Han Ling immediately put on a long face and said wearily, none of your business. I'm drinking tea. Dong Lao's mouth twitched for a moment, and he felt so stifled that he almost vomited blood. Originally, he had asked Han Ling to come over to deal with Jiang Shang, but now he had been slapped in the face by Han Ling. He had shot himself in the foot. Dong Lao, I came out on leave, and I still have training to attend to at the War Department. Feeling that the atmosphere was not right, Yuan Genoa got up decisively, I need to report back immediately, so I won't accompany you. I also have official business, so I will come and see you again some other day, Dong Lao. Qi Tianming followed suit and stood up. Wang Manjin and Long Xiaoxia also made excuses and left first. Having seen the horror of Han Ling, they didn't want to spend another second with this woman, for fear of annoying this lunatic at some point and losing their lives. In the blink of an eye, all four of Jiangzhou's most talented young men had left. Ling, if you're busy, go ahead. Dong Lao looked up at Han Ling, I'll go with them. I'm fine. Han Ling coldly interrupted Dong Lao, I'll stay with Mr. Jiang. When he leaves, I'll leave too. You. Dong Lao's face froze. With Han Ling backing Jiang Shang up, there was nothing he could do to challenge Jiang Shang. Mingyue hid her smile as she covered her mouth. She had always treated Dong Lao with courtesy, out of consideration for his close relationship with the Ji family, but she was by no means afraid of him. As the daughter of the Han family of Longjing City, Han Ling's status was not much different from Mingyue's, and she would not pamper Dong Lao. Dong Lao would find it very difficult to make things difficult for Jiang Shang. Jiang Shang, you really are something. Since there was nothing he could do about Han Ling, Dong Lao could only look at Jiang Shang in a strange manner. After taking his seat, Jiang Shang did not say a word, but instead frowned as he looked up and down Dong Lao. Hearing what Dong Lao had said, Jiang Shang hesitated for a moment, before reminding him, Dong Lao, I'm afraid your days are numbered. How dare you curse Dong Lao? The two bodyguards behind Dong Lao immediately shouted in reprimand. I can understand the psychology of young people eager to perform, but you opened your mouth and said that my life is not long, which is too rude. Old Dong pulled a long face and became more and more dissatisfied with Jiang Shang. What issue did you notice? Mingyue hurriedly asked. Old Dong is the same as you in the beginning, both of you have been bitten by the heart-eating parasite. Jiang Shang ignored Dong Lao and looked at Mingyue seriously, and his situation is far more serious than yours before, and the parasite in his body should have matured. Upon hearing this, Mingyue's face changed drastically, and he said with concern, Dong Lao, do you feel anything uncomfortable in your heart? No, I'm fine. Dong Lao decisively shook his head and looked at Jiang Shang coldly. If you use this kind of trick to deceive Mingyue and Xiaoling, then you will never succeed in front of me. Chapter 45, Old Dong, leave. You will definitely regret it. Old Dong, you must believe Jiang Shang, he really knows medicine. Seeing that Old Dong was so resistant to Jiang Shang, Mingyue anxiously said, I have. Don't listen to his nonsense, I don't feel any discomfort in my body, and my heart is in perfect health. Old Dong waved his hand to interrupt Mingyue's words, confidently saying, I receive a physical examination every month with the best medical equipment from the Ministry of War and the provincial hospital, and I am in very good health. Then do you drink a lot of water every day but don't go to the toilet very often? Knowing that medical equipment simply cannot detect the existence of the heart-eating worm, Mingyue immediately asked based on his previous experience. What's so strange about that? I'm getting old, and I like to drink tea every day. Dong Lao shrugged off the question with indifference. Just to be safe, let Jiang Shang diagnose you. Mingyue reminded with concern. No need. Dong Lao resolutely refused, disdainfully saying, even if I really had an issue, I wouldn't need help from such a small character, and I don't believe a word he says anyway. I'm only reminding you out of respect for Mingyue. Believe it or not, it's not me who'll suffer anyway. Jiang Shang shrugged nonchalantly, Han Ling and I still have some important things to discuss, so if Dong Lao has no other instructions, then I'll take my leave. Old Dong frowned with a displeased expression on his face. He wanted to continue to make things difficult for Jiang Shang, but he had no leverage. Zhangzhou's 4 young talents had all been defeated, and Han Ling had become Jiang Shang's ally. If he continued to insist, he might have to confront Han Ling. Facing this witch from the Han family, Old Dong didn't know what to do. After all, this woman was crazy and did things without regard for the consequences. Then we will take our leave for now, and I will pay my respects to Old Dong again later. Mingyue was curious about the relationship between Jiang Shang and Han Ling, and planned to follow them to find out more, so she no longer accompanied Dong Lao. After Jiang Shang and the other two left, Dong Lao kicked the table in front of him over, angrily cursing, that brat, he's driving me crazy. Dong Lao was extremely annoyed at being frequently slapped in the face by an unknown kid, but there was nothing he could do about it. Seeing that Dong Lao was angry, one of the bodyguards made a motion of wiping his neck. My lord, why don't we secretly not do it? If Mingyue finds out that Jiang Shang died at my hands, I won't be able to bear her wrath. Besides, there's still Han Ling backing him up, and I don't want to provoke that crazy woman. Dong Lao hurriedly shook his head and narrowed his eyes, saying, you immediately notify Ling Yun of what happened here, and tell him that if he doesn't pay attention, Miss Ji will be taken by someone else. Outside the villa gate, Mingyue was embracing Jiang Shang's arm, declaring her sovereignty. Han Ling may be crazy, but she is not inferior to Mingyue in terms of family background, appearance, and figure. And Han Ling's subservient attitude towards Jiang Shang made Mingyue wary, and she directly included her in the ranks of her rivals. If others knew that the eldest Miss Ji would actually worry about being robbed of her man, they would be absolutely shocked. Sir, I didn't mean to hide my identity from you, but last night's events happened so suddenly that I didn't have time to explain the situation to you. Han Ling stood opposite Jiang Shang and Mingyue and apologetically explained. Never mind. Jiang Shang smiled and asked, how are the medicinal herbs I asked you to prepare? I can have them all ready in 3 days at the most. Since her physical and mental health was at stake, Han Ling's spirit suddenly lifted. By then, please, sir, come to my rescue. As long as you prepare the herbs properly, and find a secluded and safe place where you won't be disturbed, I guarantee that you will be able to return to normal. Jiang Shang nodded firmly. Thank you, sir. Han Ling looked at Jiang Shang gratefully. In that case, I won't disturb you and your wife, I'll go take care of the herbs first. Even Mingyue, with her strong willpower, blushed when she heard Han Ling refer to her as wife. My dear Mr. Jiang, I never thought you could make the Han families which submit to you. You are really something. After Han Ling left, Mingyue asked in a strange voice, tell me, what is going on between you two? Actually, I only met her yesterday, and I had no idea that she was the Han family's eldest daughter. Jiang Shang told the truth about what happened last night. I never thought that the Justice Hall, which dominates the Jiangzhou underworld, was actually started by Han Ling. After hearing the whole story, Mingyue sighed, but Han Ling is also a hard-luck person, because she was bewitched by the mermaid and became the witch in people's eyes. You must help her. I thought you would be jealous. Jiang Shang looked at Mingyue in surprise. Everyone calls me madam, what else is there for me to be jealous of? Mingyue gave Jiang Shang a cold stare, then her expression became serious. Regarding the fact that Dong Lao was also bitten by the heart-eating worm, are you telling the truth or not? Of course it's true. Old Dong is not suffering from heartache as frequently as you because he is strong and has an adequate supply of heart energy, but his situation is far more serious than yours. Jiang Shang nodded firmly, but said helplessly, unfortunately, he doesn't believe me, so when the heart-eating worm matures and attacks, he won't be far from death. Although old Dong has many opinions about you, he is after all an elder who cares about me, so you must find a way to save him. Mingyue took Jiang Shang's hand and implored, maybe if you give me the antidote I took earlier, I can find a way to get him to take it. It's useless. Different stages of growth of the heart-eating worm required different antidotes. The antidote you were given was useless to old Master Dong. Jiang Shang shook his head. And old Master Dong's condition is already very bad. The antidote alone cannot cure him, and I need to use special methods to assist. This. Mingyue suddenly felt at a loss. Dong Lao doesn't believe a word you say, and there's no way he'll let you save him. I'm just a nobody, so it's normal that he doesn't believe me. Jiang Shang laughed and said nonchalantly, life and death are in the hands of fate. If he doesn't believe me, there's no need for me to stick my neck out. I'll find a way to make Dong Lao stay in Jiangzhou for a while longer. Mingyue looked seriously at the villa and said, when the heart-eating worm inside him attacks, he'll naturally believe you. 3 days later, at noon. Han Ling excitedly informed Jiang Shang on the phone that all the medicinal herbs were ready. Jiang Shang didn't waste any words and immediately went out to find Han Ling. On the other side, at the entrance of the villa where Dong Laoran lived, Mingyue helplessly looked in the direction of Dong Laoran's car as he left. Thanks to her efforts, Dong Laoran reluctantly stayed for 3 more days. However, during these 3 days, Dong Laoran's body showed no signs of illness, so much so that Mingyue could no longer force the old man to stay. Moreover, Dong Laoran simply did not believe Jiang Shang's words, and it was entirely out of respect for Mingyue that he stayed for 3 more days, just to make Mingyue give up. Dong Laoran, you will definitely regret this. Mingyue resumed her cold expression until the car had gone far away. I have done what I should do, but you don't believe me. When you come back, it will be between you and Jiang Shang, and there is nothing I can do to help. Chapter 46 Dong Lao, it's better to be dead than to live like this. I hope you die a painful death, you son of a bitch. On the highway to the provincial capital. What the hell is this little bastard's magic? Dong Lao sat in the back seat of the car, frowning as he stared at the information in his hands about Jiang Shang. How could he, a good-for-nothing son-in-law, make both Mingyue and Han Ling treat him differently? Master, don't worry, I've already informed Ling Yun of what happened here. The chauffeur teased, when Ling Yun shows up, the boy's good days will be over. The Ling family is one of the top families in Jiangdong province, and with my support, even if the boy has Han Ling's backing, he has no chance. Lao Dong put down the documents in his hands and sneered, I'll see about that. Halfway through his sentence, Lao Dong suddenly covered his chest and screamed in pain. Master, what's wrong? The driver's face paled, and he hurriedly pulled over to the emergency lane, at a loss for what to do. My heart suddenly hurt so much. Mr. Dong's face contorted as he covered his chest and gritted his teeth, saying, quickly, go back to Jiangzhou and go to the hospital. While Mingyue was handling work accompanied by his secretary Xiao Yuan, he suddenly received a call from Dong Lao. Dong Lao, you're already in the provincial capital? Mingyue asked in puzzlement when he answered the phone. I'm at Jiangzhou Central Hospital. Hurry and have Jiang Shang come see me. Dong Lao's voice sounded in pain. The bodyguards rushed Dong Lao to the central hospital as quickly as they could, but the hospital was unable to detect any issues with his body, and even the strongest painkillers could not relieve his pain. Then, Dong Lao remembered what Jiang Shang had said before, and immediately called Mingyue. Upon hearing this, Ji Mingyue's face became strange. Although he had long expected Dong Lao to return, he had not expected it to be so soon. Dong Lao, you are now in need of Jiang Shang, but asking him to come and see you, I'm afraid that's not a good idea. Ji Mingyue played with the signature pen in his hand, reminding him, he lives in my henteing palace, so you figure it out. Fine, I'll go find him. Dong Lao knew that Ji Mingyue was still angry about what had happened before, so he responded and hung up. If only he had known better. After ending the call, Ji Mingyue gave a cold smile, handed over the work to Xiao Yuan, and hurried home. When Ji Mingyue drove back to the henteing heavenly palace, Dong Lao was lying in the courtyard, rolling around on the ground. A few bodyguards were standing around him in a panic. When they saw Ji Mingyue, they immediately pleaded loudly, Miss Ji, please save Master Dong. I don't know anything about medicine, I can't help. Ji Mingyue shook her head, puzzled, isn't Jiang Shang home? We've been knocking, but that little bastard won't show his face. Master Dong, whose face was already distorted, cursed with gritted teeth. Upon hearing this, Ji Mingyue frowned. It was clear that Dong Lao was the one asking for help, but he still spoke so rudely. He really deserved to suffer. Let's go inside first, I'll go get Jiang Shang. Ji Mingyue didn't lose her temper. She just wanted to teach Dong Lao a lesson, she couldn't possibly just watch him be tortured to death. A few bodyguards helped Dong Lao into the villa hall. Ji Mingyue walked out of Jiang Shang's room with a frown, Jiang Shang is not home. Damn it, this bastard must be deliberately avoiding me and watching me suffer. On hearing this, Dong Lao's body softened and he collapsed onto the sofa, yelling angrily, this son of a bitch is so devious. Dong Lao, I tried to persuade you before, but you wouldn't listen and refused to believe Jiang Shang. Ji Mingyue frowned and retorted, if you didn't believe Jiang Shang, then why did Jiang Shang keep waiting for you? It hurts so much. Knowing that he was in the wrong, Dong Lao rolled on the sofa and stopped arguing. Miss Ji, things have come to this, you'd better let Jiang Shang come back and cure Dong Lao. A few bodyguards anxiously spoke up to persuade. Then go find someone quickly. Ji Mingyue responded impatiently. Dong Lao cried out in pain, hurry, use all your connections to find Jiang Shang, I can't take it anymore. A group of bodyguards began frantically making phone calls, contacting various forces to find Jiang Shang's whereabouts. Seeing Dong Lao's agonizingly painful expression, Ji Mingyue also called Jiang Shang, but Jiang Shang's phone was always turned off, so there was nothing she could do. At Dong Lao's command, all walks of life in Jiangzhou City were shaken, and they all went crazy looking for Jiang Shang. Unfortunately, in order to get rid of the charm of the merfolk, Han Ling found a place that was absolutely safe and hidden, where no one could find her, even if the whole city was out looking. Unable to find Jiang Shang, Dong Lao could only continue to endure the torment of excruciating pain, which was worse than death. All night long, Dong Lao was tortured by the heart-eating demon, passing out 7 or 8 times in succession. Each time he fainted from the pain, he came back to consciousness again, and with his willpower almost failing, he almost couldn't hold himself back from ending it all. It wasn't until the next morning that Jiang Shang, looking exhausted, returned to the heavenly palace on the cloud with a sack. You bastard, where the hell have you been for a whole day and night? Don't you know we've been looking for you? Upon seeing Jiang Shang appear, one of the bodyguards immediately stepped forward, pointed his finger at Jiang Shang's nose, and roared, if anything happens to Master Dong, I'll kill you. Who the hell are you? As soon as he entered the door, he was insulted like this. Jiang Shang raised his hand and slapped the bodyguard, sending him flying. You're looking for me, and you're still so arrogant with me? Who do you think you are? Jiang Shang. That's my man. Dong Lao, who was pale as a sheet, was lying on the sofa, yelling, hurry up and come over here and give me treatment, I'm in agony. It turned out to be Dong Lao. Seeing Dong Lao's appearance, Jiang Shang suddenly realized that the other party was suffering from a heart-eating parasite attack. No nonsense, hurry up and give me treatment. Dong Lao, who was suffering more than death, urged with gritted teeth. Facing the vulgar Dong Lao, Jiang Shang frowned, now you're begging me, is this your attitude when you beg someone? You little brat, you dare to put on airs at a time like this? If it weren't for the sake of Mingyue, I'd make sure you die a horrible death. Jiang Shang was still being arrogant when he should be feeling excruciating pain, and Dong Lao was about to explode. You old bastard, I'm only reminding you that you've been poisoned because I care about Mingyue. In the face of Dong Lao's abuse, Jiang Shang responded without any courtesy, unfortunately, you don't know your own good, and you don't believe what I say, so I have no obligation to care about your life or death. You're going to die in pain, you son of a bitch. Hearing this, Dong Lao was stunned by the abuse. No one had dared to speak to him like this for many years. Mingyue, on the other hand, looked at Jiang Shang in surprise. She had never expected that Jiang Shang, who had been unable to extricate himself from the entanglements of the Xiao family mother and daughter, would be so strong when facing Dong Lao. How dare you speak to old Master Dong like that? Do you know who old Master Dong is? Several bodyguards reacted and immediately angrily rebuked Jiang Shang. His identity has nothing to do with me, and even if he is the king of heaven, he will lose face in front of me. Jiang Shang glanced at the bodyguards and coldly looked at old Master Dong. Do you think I don't know that you brought Han Ling and Wang Manjin together to embarrass me? You? What do you mean you? Jiang Shang gave Dong Lao no chance to speak, and said with disgust, I only bother to reason with you because of Mingyue's face. I even kindly remind you that your life is not long, but unfortunately you take yourself too seriously. Now that you are begging me for something, but still acting so arrogant, then I will not tolerate your bad habits anymore. As soon as he finished speaking, Jiang Shang nodded to Mingyue, and then entered the bedroom on his own, ignoring these people outside. Chapter 47. Dong Lao bowed his head and apologized for his mistake. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw that Jiang Shang had actually entered the bedroom and no longer cared about Dong Lao's life or death. Dong Lao. He was once a major member of the Ministry of War and the head of Jiangdong province. Even though he is now retired, he still has a significant amount of influence in Jiangdong province. Such a figure actually has no face in front of Jiang Shang. Jiang Shang is so arrogant. Unlike the others, Mingyue stared at Jiang Shang's room with sparkling eyes. From the beginning, she knew that Jiang Shang was proud and unbending, and that even if he had once mistakenly wanted to be an enemy of the Qi family, he was not afraid at all. Now treating Dong Lao like this is both unexpected and reasonable. This is the man you admire. Lao Dong fell onto the sofa and gritted his teeth as he yelled at Mingyue. Seeing an elder in such pain and not helping them is downright uncharacteristic and uncouth. Always reflect on your own faults when sitting in meditation. Mingyue looked at Lao Dong with a cold expression as he said, put yourself in someone else's shoes. If someone treated you the way you treated Jiang Shang, would you give them a good face? Dong Lao, was suddenly at a loss for words. Not to mention that Jiang Shang, out of respect for me, had long since warned you that you were poisoned by a parasite and was willing to help you. Mingyue crossed her legs and propped her chin in her hand, amused. You were the one who never believed in him and spoke to him coldly, so why should he save you? Not to mention that now you are the one asking for his help, but you are acting like a superior. Who can stand it? Dong Lao's face turned red, but he had no retort. Miss Ji. You can't just stand there and watch someone die. A bodyguard anxiously looked at Mingyue. No matter what, Dong Lao is your elder. I can't help anymore. Mingyue interrupted the bodyguard's words and said coldly, just like before, Dong Lao didn't give me face and insisted on making things difficult for Jiang Shang. I also have no face at Jiang Shang's place now. After all, when I stepped in, no one believed me. Damn it! Old Dong covered his heart and cursed unwillingly, letting him bow to Jiang Shang. It was really suffocating. In the bedroom. Hearing Mingyue's words, Jiang Shang smiled. If it was Mingyue who came forward, then no matter how unhappy he was, he would also save old Dong. And now, Mingyue has made it clear that he wants old Dong to give him an explanation for what happened before. This is the greatest support for him. She is truly the woman I have identified with in my life, and I really love you to death. Jiang Shang muttered, then ignored the outside world and took out a pile of good quality medicinal herbs from the canvas bag he had carried on his back. Han Ling is worthy of being everyone's disciple, and she has done a very good job in terms of human relationships. Jiang Shang looked at the pile of medicinal herbs in front of him with satisfaction. Jiang Shang had only asked Han Ling to prepare the medicinal herbs to lift the charm of the merfolk, but Han Ling had additionally prepared a large amount of medicinal herbs as compensation for Jiang Shang. Jiang Shang excitedly fiddled with the herbs in front of him, started to sort them, and pondered how to use them effectively. In the hall. Although Dong Lao was very reluctant to bow to Jiang Shang, the severe pain in his heart made him unable to bear it. After some hesitation, he finally bowed his head. With the help of his bodyguards, Dong Lao came to Jiang Shang's door and shouted as gently as possible, Jiang Shang, I'm sorry. I know I was wrong, I hope you won't hold it against me. For the sake of Mingyue, please help me. As soon as the words left his mouth, the group of people held their breath, waiting for a response. But after waiting for a long time, Jiang Shang in the bedroom didn't say a word, obviously not satisfied with Dong Lao's apology. I shouldn't have gathered those people to embarrass you. I shouldn't have been condescending to you. I shouldn't have thought highly of myself and been arrogant. Dong Lao gritted his teeth and began to seriously reflect on the mistakes he had made in front of Jiang Shang. As he spoke, Dong Lao also felt that he had gone too far and could understand why Jiang Shang had reacted so strongly. A few minutes later, the door opened. Jiang Shang walked out, expressionless, and looked at Dong Lao. In consideration of the fact that you are also thinking of Mingyue's well-being, I will not hold it against you this time. Dong Lao was overjoyed and looked at Jiang Shang expectantly. So my illness? You are not sick. Jiang Shang shook his head, walked up to Dong Lao, took his hand, and rubbed it while introducing himself. You have been bitten by a heart-eating parasite. If it weren't for your strength, you would have probably died a long time ago. As Jiang Shang rubbed it, Dong Lao felt that the pain in his heart improved significantly, and his attitude towards Jiang Shang also became much gentler. Dong Lao, please sit down. Jiang Shang pointed to the sofa in the living room and said, take off your clothes. Dong Lao, whose pain had eased considerably, did not hesitate to sit on the sofa and take off his shirt. Mingyue came over and said, that's strange. Why is there no mark on Dong Lao's body? Because his situation is countless times more serious than yours, and a simple massage will not make the mark appear. Jiang Shang narrowed his eyes and suddenly reached out and quickly poked points on the front and back of Dong Lao's chest. As Jiang Shang's fingers clicked on various acupoints on Dong Lao's body, a red circular pattern emerged with Dong Lao's heart at the center, with 8 thin red lines extending from the circle and wriggling back and forth around Dong Lao's heart. My goodness, is it that terrifying? Mingyue covered her mouth in horror. In the beginning, the mark on her body only had a circle and a short thin line, but the mark on Dong Lao's body had already extended 8 long thin lines. It looked as if a red spider was firmly attached to his heart. Although Dong Lao and the others had never seen the mark on Mingyue's body, they were all shocked by the scene in front of them. The hospital had not been able to find any issues after such a long examination, and Jiang Shang had only poked Dong Lao a few times to make such a terrifying thing appear on his body, which was too scary. The parasite in Dong Lao's body has matured. If the person who placed the parasite does not cast a spell to manipulate it as soon as possible, the parasite will continue to wreak havoc in Dong Lao's body until it kills him. Jiang Shang looked at Dong Lao with a grave expression and said, I have temporarily stabilized the parasite with the 9 revolutions finger technique, but a special antidote is needed to completely eradicate it. Go get it as soon as possible. Jiang Shang then walked over to the side and began writing on a piece of paper. Don't worry, Dong Lao, Jiang Shang will definitely find a way to cure you. Mingyue comforted with confidence, I've had angina since I was a child, and it was the heart-eating worm that caused it. Jiang Shang cured me. I see, no wonder you treat him so differently. After experiencing the pain of dying alive, Dong Lao suddenly understood why Mingyue was so good to Jiang Shang. As a man of iron, as long as he is not made to experience that kind of pain again, he is willing to devote himself to Jiang Shang, not to mention Mingyue, a little girl. This is the unique antidote that can cure Dong Lao. Jiang Shang folded the note and handed it to one of the bodyguards. My method can only temporarily suppress the onset of the curse. You must get the antidote back before the curse strikes again, otherwise I can't save Dong Lao either. Okay. I will get the antidote as soon as possible. Holy cow, is this the antidote? The bodyguard said firmly while checking the note, and he couldn't help but swear halfway through his sentence. Chapter 48. Can I hug you? Ling Yun is here. What's wrong? Dong Lao asked suspiciously when he heard the bodyguard's words. The bodyguard handed the note to Dong Lao with a furrowed brow. He glanced down at the note, and his face instantly turned green. He looked at Jiang Shang doubtfully. Are you sure this is the antidote that can save my life? Jiang Shang pulled Mingyue behind him and nodded with certainty. Dong Lao moved his lips, looked down again, and looked at the small print on the note with a conflicted expression, a woman's menstrual blood after an abortion. Master. The bodyguard leaned over and whispered in Dong Lao's ear, could it be that this kid is still angry and deliberately concocted such an antidote to disgust you? Go get the antidote. Dong Lao blared fiercely at the bodyguard and handed over the note. Under the current circumstances, even if Jiang Shang is deliberately trying to disgust him, he has no choice. The bodyguard glanced at Jiang Shang and quickly walked out of the hall. What exactly is this so-called antidote? Mingyue couldn't help but ask curiously. Stay out of social affairs. Jiang Shang gave Dong Lao a wink while casually dismissing the matter. Dong Lao understood Jiang Shang's intentions, knowing that he was protecting Mingyue, and so he stopped talking about the antidote. The bodyguard soon returned with a bottle of red liquid. Out of concern for Ji Mingyue's safety, Dong Lao took the bottle and drank it down with a composed expression, before vomiting and drinking the antidote. It wasn't long before Dong Lao was throwing up all over the trash can. This was due to the antidote taking effect, as well as the sheer nausea. In the end, Dong Lao vomited a mouthful of dark black blood, which contained a transparent worm about the thickness of a thumb, covered in tentacles. The moment they saw the worm, Dong Lao and the others all turned pale and were truly shocked. My goodness! Ji Mingyue exclaimed in disbelief, this is several times larger than the worm in my body. The one in your body is still in its larval stage, while this one is mature, so of course they are not comparable. Jiang Shang used tweezers to place the insect in the sunlight and explained, the mature heart-eating insect can only be completely killed by being placed in the sun. Otherwise, even if it leaves its host, it will lay eggs everywhere before dying, causing endless problems. Watching the insect emit black smoke in the sunlight and eventually turn to ashes, everyone present was shocked. Done. Jiangsheng threw the tweezers into the trash can and glanced at Dong Lao. I only helped you because of Mingyue. Otherwise, even if you are extremely powerful, it has nothing to do with me. Thank you. I didn't wait for Dong Lao to say his thanks before Jiangsheng turned and walked towards the bedroom. He really didn't care about Dong Lao. Dong Lao, you should understand why I like him now, right? Ji Mingyue's eyes were filled with stars as he looked at Jiang Shang's back, not yielding to power, not relying on wealth, these are the most precious qualities in Jiang Shang. Lao Dong moved his lips, but stopped himself from speaking. On the way back to the residence, Lao Dong sat in the back seat of the car with a furrowed brow. Master. Although this Jiang Shang is a bit of a crook, he is really too arrogant. The bodyguard driving the car angrily said, should we secretly help Ling Yun and teach this kid a good lesson? Forget it. From now on, I will no longer get involved in anything between Ling Yun and Jiang Shang. Old Dong looked at his chest, which had returned to normal, and said with a complex expression, in fact, I already regret telling Ling Yun about this. Perhaps Mingyue was right in her assessment, and this Jiang Shang is indeed a promising talent. However, there is still a gap between him and Ling Yun, and I don't know if he can withstand Ling Yun's methods. Besides, I have something more important to figure out right now. What is it? The bodyguard asked curiously. Dong Lao looked out the window with a grave expression on his face, without replying, but his mood was incredibly heavy. If it was just him who had been bitten by the parasite, it wouldn't be a big deal. But Ji Mingyue, the little princess of the Ji family, had actually been bitten by the same parasite as him, so the hidden agenda behind this matter was terrifying. This could be a huge conspiracy against the entire Ji family. After seeing Dong Lao off, Ji Mingyue called for the hall to be cleaned several times, and then excitedly called Jiang Sheng out. Sorry, I went a bit too far. Jiang Sheng looked apologetically at Ji Mingyue. I should have given you face and been more respectful to old Dong, but his words and actions were so disgusting that I just couldn't hold back. You don't need to apologize to me at all, because you did a really good job. Ji Mingyue took the initiative to sit next to Jiang Sheng. I was worried that you weren't ruthless enough, judging by how kind you were to the Xiao family mother and daughter. But now it seems that I was worried for nothing. Jiang Sheng explained seriously, but for other people, especially those who want to stop us from being together, I will never show mercy. That's right. Ji Mingyue nodded in approval, reminding him, in the future, you will have to face people who are as ruthless as jackals and tigers. If you are kind to them, you will be cruel to yourself and irresponsible to me. Don't worry. I really don't care about those so-called bigwigs. Whoever dares to stop us from being together, I will never let them get away with it. Jiang Sheng firmly declared, looking at Ji Mingyue, who was snuggled up next to him, and couldn't help but ask, Mingyue, can I hug you? Hearing this, Ji Mingyue glared at Jiang Sheng, exasperated. How could you ask a girl so directly? Seeing that Ji Mingyue didn't respond, Jiang Sheng hurriedly lowered his hand, which had already been raised, quietly, not daring to do anything rude. Ji Mingyue waited for a long time, but Jiang Sheng didn't make a move. She was suddenly very angry. Does she have to be the one to make the first move? You really are a stinky straight man. Ji Mingyue got up and glared at Jiang Sheng fiercely before turning around and walking upstairs. What's wrong? Jiang Sheng looked at Ji Mingyue's back with grievance. I didn't do anything, why are you angry again? Jiang Sheng didn't know that the mood had been set just right, and it was because he hadn't done anything that Ji Mingyue was angry. Not knowing what he had done to anger Ji Mingyue, Jiang Sheng nervously crept into the bedroom, determined to make her happy by quickly concocting the elixir of youth for her. The next morning, Jiang Sheng had just finished concocting the elixir of youth when the doorbell rang. Jiang Shang was in the living room when he saw Ji Mingyue coming down the stairs. Humph. Before Jiang Shang could go up to say hello, Ji Mingyue snorted and went to answer the door, still angry about what happened last night. Oh dear, women's hearts are unfathomable. Jiang Shang scratched his head in confusion and followed Ji Mingyue obediently. At that moment, a young man in a suit and tie, handsome and charming, was standing at the entrance to the courtyard ringing the doorbell. Why is he here? Ji Mingyue frowned slightly when she saw the visitor. Who is this? Jiang Shang asked curiously. Ling Yun from the Ling family in the provincial capital. Ji Mingyue responded with a blank expression, reminding him that he was also the enemy you will face next. At this time, Ji Mingyue was a little worried. This Ling Yun was her suitor and was bound to take some action against Jiang Shang. Although Dong Lao was also targeting Jiang Shang, he would have to consider Ji Mingyue's face no matter what, and would not really do anything to Jiang Shang, but someone like Ling Yun would not show mercy to Jiang Shang. For Jiang Shang, the real danger has arrived. Chapter 49 100 million. That's a lot of money. This is the enemy I have to face. Upon hearing Ji Mingyue's words, Jiang Shang's face straightened and he began to carefully size up Ling Yun. However, Jiang Shang's gaze finally settled on a middle-aged man in a tuxedo standing next to a business car outside the courtyard. He sensed a sense of danger from this man. The courtyard door opened. Miss Mingyue, you're investing in Jiangzhou, why didn't you tell me in advance? Ling Yun, carrying an exquisitely packaged gift box, greeted her warmly. It is precisely because the Ling family has not yet settled in Jiangzhou that I have come here to invest on behalf of the Ji family. Ji Mingyue responded with a cold expression, I just don't want to have any conflicts of interest with the Ling family. What a coincidence. It seems that he is used to Ji Mingyue's cold attitude. Ling Yun narrowed his eyes and said excitedly, I have come here to formally represent the Ling family in entering the Jiangzhou market, and we can get along well from now on. Upon hearing this, Ji Mingyue frowned. The Ling family's move was not for the sake of wine, and Jiang Shang was afraid that he was going to be in big trouble. Mingyue, who is this gentleman? Just then, Jiang Shang suddenly reached out and embraced Ji Mingyue's waist, smiling and asking, You are a guest, why don't you welcome someone into the house for a cup of tea? Facing Jiang Shang's sudden move, Ji Mingyue first stiffened, then relaxed with a smile, very satisfied with Jiang Shang's actions. Ji Mingyue originally thought that Jiang Shang would be afraid of Ling Yun, the young master of the Ling family, but she never expected that Jiang Shang would not only have no fear of Ling Yun, but also declare his sovereignty in such a way. Extraordinary courage. Seeing that Jiang Shang not only called Ji Mingyue's nickname, but also put her in his arms, Ling Yun's face darkened. 3 days ago, he received the news that Ji Mingyue had a boyfriend in Jiangzhou, and he had made adequate preparations for this. According to the investigation data, Jiang Shang is nothing more than a wimp who has been cuckolded for 3 years in the Zhao family. Ling Yun didn't even take Jiang Shang seriously, and after entering the door, he chose to ignore him directly. But unexpectedly, Jiang Shang took the initiative to provoke in the posture of the host. In particular, Ji Mingyue did not resist Jiang Shang's intimate actions in any way, which made Ling Yun extremely jealous and angry. This is Ling Yun, the eldest son of the Ling family in the provincial capital. Ji Mingyue snuggled into Jiang Shang's arms and casually introduced them. It turns out that you are the young master of the Ling family. I have heard a lot about you, and I welcome you. Jiang Shang suddenly understood, and while hugging Ji Mingyue, he extended his hand to Ling Yun. My name is Jiang Shang, I am Mingyue's boyfriend, please take care of me. Looking at Jiang Shang's outstretched hand, Ling Yun's face was grim and terrible. Jiang Shang had seized the initiative, so that he was now very passive. Miss Ji, you are a guest from afar, so you should at least invite me in for a chat, shouldn't you? Ling Yun forced himself to calm down, ignored Jiang Shang, and looked directly at Ji Mingyue. No, that's not what Ji Mingyue instinctively wanted to say. Mingyue, this young Master Ling is rude, we can't be that uncouth. Jiang Shang calmly withdrew his hand and smiled, please, young Master Ling, come in for a cup of water. Ji Mingyue looked at Jiang Shang suspiciously, but seeing him wink at her, she did not refuse again. The three of them entered the living room, and Jiang Shang sat down majestically on the main seat of the sofa, and pointed to the side seat. Young Master Ling, feel free to sit anywhere, just treat this as your own home, don't be formal. My Nima saw that Jiang Shang really regarded himself as the host, and Ling Yun cursed furiously in his heart. But since Ji Mingyue did not object, he could only bear it. Mingyue, go and make some of our good tea. When Ji Mingyue tried to take her seat, Jiang Shang commanded, I want to entertain Master Ling properly. Ji Mingyue gave Jiang Sheng a fierce glare, but obediently went to make the tea. Seeing that Ji Mingyue did everything Jiang Sheng told her to, Ling Yun clenched his fists and his eyes nearly burst with anger. So quickly he has captured Miss Ji's heart and made her so partial to you. After Ji Mingyue left, Ling Yun immediately abandoned his gentlemanly image and looked at Jiang Sheng coldly. Boy, you're quite capable. You have great personal charm, and there's nothing I can do about it. Jiang Sheng crossed his legs and looked at Ling Yun playfully. I know you're Mingyue's suitor, but as you can see, Mingyue and I are already together, so I'm afraid you don't stand a chance. Someone like you is not worthy of Miss Ji, and you're not even in the same league as me. Ling Yun gritted his teeth and said, I graduated from a world-renowned university, returned to China and took over the family business, earning a lot of profits for the family. So I don't need to hear your resume. Jiang Sheng impatiently interrupted Ling Yun and said proudly, no matter how cocky you are, you haven't been able to capture Mingyue's heart, and we are already living together. You. Ling Yun was suddenly unable to speak in response. No matter how outstanding he is, compared to Jiang Sheng, who is already living with Ji Mingyue, he is a total failure. Jiang Sheng. You and Miss Ji are not from the same world. Ling Yun took a deep breath and calmly said, you are just greedy for the power of the Ji family and want to make a profit. Shouldn't this be said about you? Jiang Sheng's face became strange. The Ling family in the provincial capital is nothing in front of the Ji family, and by pursuing Mingyue, aren't you just trying to climb up the social ladder? Ling Yun frowned slightly. He didn't deny this. Although the Ling family is a powerful family in Jiangdong province, it is really not worth mentioning in front of the Ji family. He did pursue Ji Mingyue in order to attach himself to the Ji family and seek greater development for himself and his family. It is true that my status is not worthy of Mingyue, but your status as Master Ling is also not worthy of Mingyue. Jiang Sheng looked at Ling Yun with amusement, the pot calling the kettle black. Then what makes you think you can talk to me? Everyone says you've lost your memory, but I can see that your mind is very clear. After a moment of silence, Ling Yun's tone softened. You're just after Miss Ji for her money, and I can give you that. Ling Yun took out his checkbook and handed it to Jiang Sheng. Name your price if you're willing to leave Miss Ji. A check is not very sincere. Jiang Sheng glanced at the checkbook and said warily, what if I leave Mingyue and you void the check, then I'll be left empty-handed. Upon hearing this, Ling Yun's eyes lit up. If you don't trust a check, I can transfer the money to you in cash. From the investigation data, he analyzed that Jiang Sheng, a small person at the bottom, should be greedy for money, so he tried it out. Judging from Jiang Sheng's reaction, Ling Yun concluded that he could buy this kid with money. Mingyue is the eldest daughter of the Ji family, and her value is immeasurable. Jiang Sheng glanced at the pantry and whispered, if the price is not right, I won't let go. Just tell me how much you want. Ling Yun smiled arrogantly and said confidently, my Ling family is a wealthy family in Jiangdong province, we don't lack money. I want this amount. Jiang Sheng politely held up a finger at Ling Yun. Fine, 100 million, I'll transfer it to you right away. Ling Yun agreed without hesitation. Damn it! Is the Ling family that rich? Jiang Sheng looked at Ling Yun with an exaggerated expression. I only wanted 10 million yuan originally, but you actually gave me 100 million yuan, what a great deal. I can't believe you only wanted 10 million yuan, you really are a country bumpkin who has never seen the world. Upon hearing this, Ling Yun secretly despised in her heart, but being able to solve this problem with 100 million yuan is also a great deal for me. Chapter 50, So. Devious. I'm starting to feel sorry for Ling Yun. After negotiating the price, Jiang Sheng couldn't wait to give his bank account number to Ling Yun. You're not going to cheat me and keep my money after you take it, are you? Ling Yun asked Jiang Sheng warily when they reached the final step of the transfer. You're the young master of the Ling family, and the Ling family is the #1 family in the provincial capital, so how dare I cheat you? Jiang Sheng responded seriously, I'm with Mingyue just to eat soft bread, and now I can directly earn 100 million, so I don't have to sell my man's dignity anymore. That's true. If you dare to lie to me, I promise to make you feel worse than death. Thinking that the investigation data mentioned that Jiang Sheng is just a useless person who eats soft bread, coupled with his confidence in the strength of the Ling family, Ling Yun warned and then transferred the money. Soon, Jiang Sheng received a notification that 100 million yuan had been deposited into his account, and he was overjoyed. Master Ling is really generous. Don't worry, I'll leave Mingyue today, and she won't be able to find me. You are very understanding. Ling Yun smiled contentedly. In that case, I will formally confess to Miss Ji at the banquet tomorrow. What banquet? Jiang Sheng asked curiously. The Ji family has invested in Jiangzhou, and the Jiangzhou Chamber of Commerce has held a banquet for them, so naturally, when the Ling family arrives, they will be treated well. Ling Yun smiled proudly and excitedly said, I plan to confess to Miss Ji in the most grand manner at the banquet hosted by the Chamber of Commerce for the Ling family tomorrow. These matters are no longer my concern. I wish Mr. Ling success tomorrow and that he will win the beauty. Jiang Shang said nonchalantly, muttering, 100 million yuan, enough to live a carefree life. Hearing this, Ling Yun felt even more at ease with Jiang Shang. Tea is here. Just then, Ji Mingyue came out of the pantry with a tea set. Seeing Ji Mingyue return, Ling Yun picked up the gift box he had brought with him. Miss Ji, I heard that you have not been feeling well, so I asked someone to find a 100-year-old wild ginseng for you to strengthen your body. Thank you for your kindness, but this gift is too valuable, I cannot accept it. Ji Mingyue poured tea while coldly refusing. Besides, the Ji family does not lack medicinal herbs. Mingyue, this is where you are wrong. Jiang Shang suddenly interrupted Ji Mingyue and complained, no matter what, this is Ling Xiao's goodwill, how can you refuse? It's so cold-hearted. I'll accept Ling Xiao's ginseng on Mingyue's behalf. Without giving Ji Mingyue a chance to speak, Jiang Shang took the gift box. Mingyue, in fact, Ling Xiao is really a nice person, you should get to know each other better in the future. Jiang Shang seemed to be setting him up with Ji Mingyue, and Ling Yun was very satisfied with this. The 100 million yuan had been well spent. Brother Jiang is right. Ling Yun nodded repeatedly, then took out a golden invitation. The Jiangzhou Chamber of Commerce is holding a banquet for my family at the Jiangzhou International Manor tomorrow. I came here specifically to give you the invitation, Miss Ji. Ji Mingyue glanced at Jiang Shang and accepted the invitation with a raised hand. Since it's a banquet hosted by the Chamber of Commerce, I'll be there on time. Upon hearing this, Ling Yun was overjoyed, and secretly pondered to carefully decorate the venue and activities, and then take the opportunity to confess to Ji Mingyue. Walking out of the courtyard, Ling Yun strode towards the skinny middle-aged man in a tuxedo. Is that his man? Jiang Shang frowned slightly, looking at the skinny middle-aged man warily. No wonder it's a big family in the provincial capital, I wonder how many experts they have under their employ. At the same time, the skinny middle-aged man also looked at Jiang Shang. After their eyes met, Jiang Shang's face became solemn. Jiang Shang had previously noticed that this middle-aged man was extraordinarily powerful, and had sensed danger, but he had never imagined that this middle-aged man was actually Ling Yun's man. Ha ha ha. What a load of crap, the Ling family's young master, he's a complete idiot. After Ling Yun got into his car and left, Jiang Shang laughed heartily, earning 100 million yuan so easily, it feels great. What 100 million yuan? Ji Mingyue asked Jiang Shang doubtfully. Jiang Shang truthfully recounted what had happened between him and Ling Yun during Ji Mingyue's absence. You actually wanted to leave me for 100 million? After hearing the story, Ji Mingyue couldn't believe her ears, and Ling Yun actually gave you 100 million. I tricked that idiot Ling Yun. Jiang Shang grinned excitedly, how many of these brain-dead suitors do you have? If everyone who pursues you gives me 100 million, then I'll be rich, and that's much faster than selling medicine to make money. Do you know what you're doing? Ji Mingyue looked at Jiang Shang impatiently and reminded him, if Ling Yun finds out that you're cheating him, you'll be enemies for life, and he won't let you go. Even if I don't cheat him, he won't let me go either, because I'll never leave you. Jiang Shang shrugged nonchalantly and sneered, in that case, why should I care? You said it yourself, Ling Yun is the enemy I'll be facing next. So when it comes to enemies, I have to be able to kill them if I can, and lie to them if I can. Just say a few nice words, and you'll get 100 million yuan. It's so cool. I really didn't expect that you also have such a shameless side. Hearing Jiang Shang's words, Ji Mingyue said with relief, but I really like you this way. Thinking about Ling Yun, who came in a menacing manner, being cheated out of 100 million yuan, and still leaving happily, Ji Mingyue couldn't help but laugh. Although I was cheating Ling Yun, I really have to leave for a while today. Jiang Shang's face grew grave, and he said with trepidation, the middle-aged man by Ling Yun's side makes me feel dangerous. I must improve my strength as soon as possible, lest I be unable to deal with it. How are you going to improve? Do you need my help? Ji Mingyue asked with concern. I don't need your help. If I can't even deal with the trivial Ling Yun, how can I face stronger enemies in the future? Jiang Shang shook his head and said with a playful tone, I let you keep the ginseng that Ling Yun gave you, precisely to improve your strength. 100-year-old wild ginseng is a rare and precious thing. You swindled Ling Yun out of 100 million and then used him to send the ginseng to improve your strength, and then turned around and went against him, that's just too bad. Ji Mingyue rolled her eyes in disbelief. She really hadn't realized before that Jiang Shang was so devious. Since I already know that Ling Yun is going to cause trouble at the banquet tomorrow, then I won't go. The two returned to the living room. Ji Mingyue looked at the invitation on the table and prepared to throw it away, disgusted. I won't give Ling Yun any opportunity. If you're not going, I will. I have to find a chance to let Ling Yun know that I cheated him out of money. Jiang Shang snatched the invitation and grinned evilly. He wants to use the banquet to declare his love for you, so I'll use the momentum he creates to let everyone know that the so-called young master of the Ling family is an idiot. I'm really looking forward to your future now. Ji Mingyue looked at Jiang Shang with some obsession. Originally, Ji Mingyue was worried that Jiang Shang would suffer at the hands of Ling Yun, but now she began to feel some sympathy for Ling Yun instead. The young master of the Ling family was tricked out of 100 million yuan and a wild ginseng plant with 100 years of age as soon as he appeared on the scene. Chapter 51, Jiang Shang's good days are over. Miss Ji is coming. The next evening. The VIP lounge of the state capital's International Manor. Dressed in a formal suit, Ling Yun sat on the sofa, holding a glass of red wine. After paying off Jiang Shang with 100 million to leave Ji Mingyue, he was determined to confess his love tonight. Uncle Yen. Ling Yun took a sip of red wine and asked the middle-aged man in a tuxedo next to him, any news of Jiang Shang? Replying to the young master. Uncle Yen replied with a slight bow. Not long after we left yesterday, Jiang Shang left the cloud-capped palace with a canvas bag on his back, then took a taxi out of the city, and we have heard nothing since. Humph. He has cost me 100 million yuan. If he dares to come back, I will make him wish he was dead. Ling Yun snorted, then laughed. For a low-level waste like him, he could never earn 100 million yuan in his own capacity in several lifetimes, so he should be content. That Jiang Shang is not as simple as he seems. Uncle Yen narrowed his eyes and warned, I can sense that he has a formidable aura. If it comes to a fight, I'm afraid you won't be his match, young master. Never mind. Ling Yun shrugged and said nonchalantly, Uncle Yen, you are the Shin family's #1 expert. If that kid dares to go back on his word, just beat him to death for me. Don't worry, young master. Uncle Yen smiled proudly. Although Jiang Shang has a formidable aura, I'm confident I can kill him within 3 moves. Earlier, Uncle Yen and Jiang Shang looked at each other. While Jiang Shang sensed the dangerous aura of Uncle Yen also sensed that Jiang Shang's aura was not weak. However, Uncle Yen was absolutely confident that he could defeat Jiang Shang. It's about time. Ling Yun put down his wine glass and slowly got up. I need to say hello to all the guests first, so that they can cooperate with me when I confess to Ji Mingyue. Although the banquet was not due to start for another half hour, the ballroom was already full of guests. At Ling Yun's request, the organizers had advanced the time on the invitations they had sent to everyone else by half an hour. Ling Yun wanted everyone to cooperate with his confession tonight before Ji Mingyue arrived. Since Ling Yun was going to confess to Ji Mingyue at this banquet, in order to create momentum, the scale of this reception was even grander than the Ji family banquet, and people from all walks of life, in addition to the business community, had also received invitations. Even the Xiao family received an invitation, and Master Xiao, accompanied by Xiao Tianming and Wu Zhu, also came to the banquet. Everyone be quiet, now we welcome Master Ling Yun to the stage to give a speech. Soon after, the music stopped and the host's voice resounded throughout the hall. Ling Yun strode onto the stage and began an official investment presentation. Hello everyone, I am Ling Yun, the heir to the Ling family of the provincial capital. I am very grateful to the Jiangzhou Chamber of Commerce for hosting this banquet for my family. My goodness! This is the heir to the Ling family, and he really does have an extraordinary bearing. Wu Zhu was thrilled to see Ling Yun strutting about on stage. I never thought that I would be able to attend such a high-end banquet in my lifetime. It's truly an eye-opener. We never thought that we would receive an invitation to the Ling family banquet and get to see the young master in person. Xiao Tianming nodded repeatedly, excitedly saying, this is definitely the most glorious moment in the history of my Xiao family. We have also entered the circle of high society. I have asked the heads of other families at our level, and they have not received invitations to the banquet. Grandpa Zhao frowned, muttering, I always feel there is something fishy about this. The reason the Zhao family was invited is entirely thanks to my husband. At that moment, Zhao Zhongxue walked over wearing a pink dress and holding Lu Shui's arm. Without my husband stepping forward to fight for it, the organizers would never have invited the Zhao family. Good son-in-law, so it was you who fought for the Zhao family's place. Wu Zhu immediately looked at Lu Shui in admiration. You are really something. Yes, yes, yes. Xiao Tianming also chimed in, our good son-in-law is really capable. It was nothing. Lu Shuyi proudly boasted, I was able to secure a place for Xue at the Ji family banquet, so it's not difficult at all for me to secure a few more places for the Zhao family at the Ling family banquet. Lu Shuyi spoke beautifully, but in reality, he had no idea why the Zhao family had been invited. Lu Shuyi enjoyed being flattered by the Zhao family, but when he saw that the old man hadn't said a word, he suddenly felt a little uncomfortable. Oh, that's right. I heard that this young Master Ling is Miss Ji's ardent suitor. Lu Shuyi glanced at the old man and gloated, now that young Master Ling is here, I'm afraid someone is going to have a bad time. Hearing this, the Zhao family of three suddenly brightened up. They had suffered too many insults and injuries at the hands of Jiang Shang before, and if young Master Ling brought Jiang Shang down, it would be considered revenge for them. The old man couldn't help but start worrying about Jiang Shang. Although he believed that Jiang Shang was no ordinary person, he was afraid that he would not be able to gain an advantage against the Ling family, which was such a huge entity. After a long speech, Ling Yun concluded, in the end, I want to formally confess my love to Miss Ji at the banquet tonight, and I hope that everyone present will cooperate. Upon hearing this, the venue fell into a deathly silence. A few days ago, in this very banquet hall, the eldest Miss Ji had just announced that she would be focusing on supporting a man named Jiang Shang. Although Miss Ji did not say anything about their relationship at the time, everyone could feel that there was something special between her and Jiang Shang. Now Ling Yun is going to declare his love for Miss Ji in public, which is blatant poaching. We must support Master Ling. Just as the whole hall fell silent, Lu Shuyi was the first to applaud, excitedly shouting, only someone as outstanding as Master Ling is worthy of Miss Ji. Seeing Lu Shuyi take the lead, the crowd reacted and applauded in agreement. Thank you all for your support. Now, please allow the host to explain the task and cooperate. Ling Yun nodded in satisfaction and turned to leave the stage. Ha ha! Jiang Shang's good days are over. Lu Shuyi was so excited that his face turned red, and he gritted his teeth and said, he is a waste and is not qualified to compete with Ling Xiao at all. After Ling Xiao and Ji Mingyue get together, Jiang Shang will be reduced to his original state. Xiao Xiangxue was also very excited, at that time, I must fix that waste. With Miss Ji's support, that loser was very arrogant and actually dared to beat us. Wu Shu touched her beaten face and resented, when he is reduced to his original form, I must slap his face until it is rotten. I want to break all his fingers. Zhao Tianming mentioned his broken finger that had not yet healed and resented, then I will break his limbs so that he can never get up again. Old Master Xiao, meanwhile, dialed Jiang Shang's phone with a grave expression on his face, but Jiang Shang's phone was always switched off. Although he had full confidence in Jiang Shang, the Ling family was after all a powerful family in the provincial capital, and as the eldest son of the Ling family, Ling Yun had a huge advantage over Jiang Shang. The doorman announced, Miss Ji is here. Everyone get ready. Young Master Ling, you get ready to kneel and confess. Half an hour later, the host suddenly shouted, music, flower petals, dry ice, everyone get the flowers and confetti ready. Chapter 52, a large-scale social death scene. The Ling family's money is not that easy to fool. With a reminder from the host, everyone in the venue quickly took up their designated positions. Young Master Ling. The host finally looked at Ling Yun, who was holding a bouquet of bright roses in his left hand and a dazzling diamond ring in his right, and pointed to the middle of the stage, introducing, Miss Ji will take the elevator to rise up from here. At that time, flower petals will fall from above the stage, dry ice will be released below, and you will make a deep confession while walking towards Miss Ji amidst the flower petals and clouds. Finally, you will kneel before Miss Ji and ask her to accept your confession. We will all support you. Okay. After all, the other person is the little princess of the Ji family, and even Ling Yun, who has seen big scenes, is a little nervous at this time. Attention, all departments. Miss Ji has entered the elevator, everyone get ready. As soon as the host finished speaking, everyone held their breath, staring at the middle of the stage, waiting for the heroine to appear. After a moment, the floor in the middle of the stage suddenly split apart. And, action! At the host's command, beautiful music began to play in the venue. At the same time, countless rose petals fell from the sky above the stage, and the dry ice machine below the stage opened, filling the stage with a beautiful mist in an instant. Then, a blurred figure appeared in the middle of the stage. I have been deeply in love with you ever since I first saw you. Accompanied by the clouds and mist, Ling Yun recited the prepared lines while slowly walking towards the figure. When Ling Yun reached the figure, he knelt down directly and held up the flowers and diamond ring in his hands. Today, in front of everyone, I want to formally confess to you, will you be my girlfriend? Say yes, say yes. At this point, the crowd in the venue went wild, some shaking the flowers in their hands, while others kept popping the confetti in their hands to set the mood for the occasion. Young Master Ling, although your confession was very touching, I don't like men. As everyone waited for a response, a strange male voice suddenly sounded, and you're doing me this big favor, I don't think I can handle it. Why is it a man's voice? For a moment, everyone was dumbfounded. How did Miss G suddenly become a man? Turn off the dry ice machine. Realizing that something was wrong, the host was the first to react. As the dry ice machine turned off, the fog on the stage dissipated. Everyone could clearly see that Ling Yun was kneeling on one knee in front of a young man with a playful expression on his face. The person who came was Jiang Shang, who had come to the banquet. Since Jiang Shang was holding Ji Mingyue's invitation, the doorman verified his identity and then, as required by the higher-ups, let Jiang Shang go through a special passage, which resulted in the current situation. Hiss, how could it be him? People who had attended the Ji family banquet let out a gasp, and looked at Jiang Shang on stage in disbelief. How did you end up here? After seeing the person who came, Ling Yun's face turned green. I thought I was saying a fond farewell to Ji Mingyue, but I never expected it to be a man. It's disgusting just thinking about it. Ling Yun got up and angrily stared at Jiang Shang. Where is Miss Ji? I came to the banquet on behalf of Miss Ji. Jiang Shang took out Ji Mingyue's invitation and looked at Ling Yun strangely. Master Ling, you're being too polite to kneel to me as soon as we meet. You and Miss Ji have already broken up, so what makes you think you're qualified to represent her at the banquet? Ling Yun was furious. Young Master Ling, you shouldn't speak so recklessly. Jiang Shang immediately reminded him discontentedly, my relationship with Miss Ji is very good, and there is no way we could break up. You can be sued for spreading such rumors. Ling Yun was stunned at first, and then his face darkened. You received 100 million from me and promised me that you would leave Miss Ji, and you dare to go back on your word. No. I promised you that I would leave Miss Ji and promised that she would never find me. Jiang Shang looked at Ling Yun with a calm expression. Did I leave yesterday, and did she not find me? Ling Yun was suddenly at a loss for words. According to the report from the surveillance personnel, what Jiang Shang said was indeed correct. Then why have you come back now? Ling Yun forced himself to calm down and asked with a pale face. I only promised to leave, but I never said I wouldn't come back. Jiang Shang looked at Ling Yun seriously. It's only a one-day absence, and it'll earn you 100 million, so of course I'd say yes. How dare you trick me? Ling Yun's eyes widened in surprise. He hadn't really thought that Jiang Shang would play such a word game. Ling Yun was so confident in himself and the strength of the Ling family that he didn't think that Jiang Shang, a lowly nobody, would have the guts to lie to him and bear the consequences. Ling, there are some things that are better left unsaid, so as not to appear foolish. Jiang gave a wide grin and said playfully, I was only going to rip you off for 10 million, but I didn't expect you to be so generous as to give me 100 million, so I feel bad. Realizing that Jiang had taken him for a fool, Ling was furious. You want to die? Young master. Go down first, or it'll be too embarrassing. Uncle Yan suddenly appeared next to Ling Yun and whispered, and this kid hasn't broken up with Miss Ji yet. If you kill him in public, Miss Ji will definitely pursue it. Since Ling Yun and Jiang Shang were both standing on the stage, not only were they the focus of the entire audience, but also everything they said could be heard clearly by everyone. Now, everyone present knew that Ling Yun had been cheated out of 100 million yuan by Jiang Shang, and what's more, he had actively walked right into the trap, which was so embarrassing. Hearing Yin Shu's words, Ling Yun finally noticed that he had become the laughingstock of everyone's eyes, and he was instantly ashamed. Coupled with the deterrent of Ji Mingyue, he also dared not kill Jiang Shang in public. You son of a bitch, just wait, the money of the Ling family is not so easy to fool, you will pay for this. Ling Yun looked at Jiang Shang with a pale face and turned around and left the stage. At the same time, Ling Yun secretly decided to silence everyone present, otherwise if this matter got out, not only would he be humiliated, but the Ling family's reputation would also be damaged. I came to the banquet on behalf of Miss Ji, and on behalf of Miss Ji, I formally reject Master Ling's confession. After sending Ling Yun off the stage, Jiang Shang picked up the microphone and said indifferently, as for the preparations everyone has made for this, I sincerely apologize. The banquet will now continue, so I wish everyone a good time. Upon hearing this, everyone in the venue looked at Jiang Shang with sympathy and pity. Although Jiang Shang had dealt a heavy blow to Ling Yun, the Ling family could not take advantage of the situation so easily. Ling Yun had been cheated out of 100 million yuan by Jiang Shang, and had also lost face so badly that he would surely seek revenge on Jiang Shang like crazy. Even if Jiang has Ji Mingyue's backing, he will definitely not have a happy ending. Even if the Ling family dares not deal with Jiang Shang blatantly for fear of Ji Mingyue, there are countless ways to secretly get rid of Jiang Shang. Uncle Yan, go and get Lu Shuyi and Zhao Zhongxue to come over here for me. After leaving the stage, Ling Yun gritted his teeth and said, "That scum made me lose face so badly, I want to first make him lose face completely, and then secretly get rid of him and get back the 100 million. Chapter 53, Give me back that 100 million. It's all bullshit." After ruining Ling Yun's confession plan, Jiang Shang walked off the stage contentedly. Although everyone present knew that Ling Yun would never let it go and would definitely find a way to get Jiang Shang didn't care about it at all. In order to be with Ji Mingyue, Jiang Shang will face an unprecedentedly powerful enemy in the future, and Ling Yun can only be considered a start. The reason Jiang Shang confronted Ling Yun so aggressively today was to show everyone that he was not afraid of Ling Yun or even the Ling family, and that no one could shake his determination to be with Ji Mingyue. Ignoring the strange looks of the others, Jiang Shang found a corner, sat cross-legged, and closed his eyes to concentrate on his cultivation. This cultivation path will become more and more difficult in the future. Feeling the flow of true energy in his dantian, Jiang Shang felt a little helpless. After taking the wild ginseng and all the previously refined pills, my cultivation level has only increased to the peak of the third level of practicing qi, which is too difficult. Although Ling Yun's wild ginseng was less than 100 years old, it was also a wild ginseng that was 30 to 40 years old, and was very valuable, but it could not allow Jiang Shang to break through to the fourth level of practicing qi. This shows that Jiang Shang's next training will become increasingly difficult, and the amount of spiritual energy required and the amount of medicinal herbs consumed will also become increasingly large. Fortunately, Jiang Shang had swindled Ling Yun out of 100 million, and with the money from selling the medicine before, he didn't have to worry about money for the time being. "Jiang Shang, you've caused a big problem, why aren't you running yet?" The old man of the Zhao family hurriedly walked up to Jiang Shang and reminded him, "You swindled Ling Xiao of 100 million and made him lose face in public. He will never let you go. Please sit down, old man." Jiang Shang opened his eyes, got up, and respectfully helped the old man sit down. He said, "Since I dared to do that, I'm not afraid of retaliation. And even if I leave now, Ling Yun will never let me go. It's better to wait for him to make a move on me. You are too rash, my boy." The old man looked at Jiang Shang with concern. "Although I firmly believe that you are no ordinary person, it is still better to keep a low profile when facing a giant like the Ling family. I don't want to see you die too soon just as you are getting better." "Old man Zhao, you are worrying for nothing." Just then, Wang Manjin walked over. Jiang Shang has Miss Ji's support, so naturally he has nothing to fear from Ling Yun. "Master Wang." The old man looked at Wang Manjin in shock. The son of the richest man in the city knew Jiang Shang. And it wasn't just Miss Ji. Before the old man could react, Qi Tianming, holding a wineglass, also walked over. The old man probably didn't know yet, but Miss Han Ling of the Han family in Longjing City is also a good friend of brother Jiang. "Master Qi." The old man stood up in trepidation. This was the son of the honorable mayor of Jiangzhou City, and his status was even higher than the son of the richest man in the city. "You are an elder of brother Jiang, which makes you an elder of ours. Please don't be so formal." Seeing that the old man was about to bow to him, Wang Manjin and Qi Tianming hurriedly stopped him, and then enthusiastically chatted with Jiang Shang. I was right in thinking that Jiang Shang is no ordinary person. Watching Jiang Shang, who was chatting with the two top young masters of Jiangzhou, the old man felt very mixed emotions. "Brother Jiang, has Miss Han arrived yet?" Qi Tianming sat down and looked at Jiang Shang curiously. Even the disciples of those powerful families in the capital city of Longjing would lose face in front of Miss Han. If Ling Yun offended Miss Han, he would be dead or seriously injured. Han Ling would not be able to show her face for a while, as she needed to rest and recuperate. Jiang Shang responded truthfully. Although Jiang Shang had already removed the merfolk charm from Han Ling, she had been deeply poisoned. Since she was young, her body had been ravaged by the merfolk charm and she would need a long time to recuperate. Damn it! If Miss Ji doesn't come and Miss Han is not here, then if Ling Yun attacks you now, you won't have any support at all. Wang Manjin's face twitched slightly as he reminded Jiang Shang, "You'd better hurry and go, and seek refuge with Miss Ji." Brother Wang is right. Qi Tianming nodded in agreement. "You really think of me as a womanizer who can only rely on women?" Jiang Shang looked at the two young masters in front of him speechless. "You are." Wang Manjin and Qi Tianming looked at each other and then responded in unison. I. Jiang Shang's mouth twitched, and he almost couldn't help swearing. He asked angrily, I offended Ling Yun, so how dare you two come and sit with me? Aren't you afraid of being implicated? Even if it weren't for you, Ling Yun and I would not be able to get along peacefully. I can't stand his arrogant and presumptuous demeanor. Wang Manjin's face darkened, and he angrily said, at the beginning, the Wang family intended to enter the provincial capital, but Ling Yun stepped in to block us, saying that we were nouveau riche from a poor backwater and simply not qualified to enter the provincial capital. It was because of the Ling family's suppression that the Wang family had to settle for a corner and hunker down in Jiangzhou to become the richest family. But now that the Ling family has settled in Jiangzhou, the Wang family is destined to be unable to live in peace, so why should I lick his boots anymore? My Qi family has always been clear about what is right and wrong. Jiang Shang has helped me maintain my health, and I am forever grateful. If I were to protect myself at a time like this, I would be the most ungrateful person. Qi Tianming pushed his glasses up his nose and looked at Jiang Shang with a determined gaze. After the gathering arranged by Dong Lao, Jiang Shang and Qi Tianming met a few more times, and cured him of his declining function and infertility. Therefore, Qi Tianming and even his father Qi Shizhuan are extremely grateful to Jiang Shang. That was why Qi Tianming was able to sit next to Jiang Shang at the moment. The three of them then accompanied the old man, drinking and chatting together, making him very happy. Old Master Xiao never dreamed that an old man from an insignificant family like his own could sit at the same table as two top young masters from Jiangzhou and even occupy the center of attention. Jiang Shang. Give me back the 100 million. Just as Jiang Shang and the other three were having a good time, Ling Yun surrounded them with a group of people and looked at Jiang Shang coldly. If you obediently pay back the money, I can let bygones be bygones, otherwise. Faced with the menacing Ling Yun, Wang Manjin and Qi Tianming sat on the sidelines without saying a word. Although they were all on Jiang Shang's side, they didn't have the same courage as Jiang Shang and dared to directly confront Ling Yun. Old Master Xiao, on the other hand, was curled up on the sofa, full of worry, not daring to breathe. In the old man's perception, Wang Manjin and Qi Tianming were already top young masters, and a young master from the provincial capital like Ling Yun, standing in front of him, made him feel suffocated. Otherwise, what does young Master Ling want? Jiang Shang provocatively interrupted Ling Yun's words, firmly saying, asking me to pay back the money is impossible. If you have a way to go, you will die without one. You son of a bitch, you're so arrogant. If it weren't for Mingyue backing you up, then you're nothing in my eyes. It was the first time someone had dared to speak to him like that since he was a child, and Ling Yun was furious. His eyes flashed with cold light. I'll get you, it's as easy as squishing an ant. Even if you have the Ling family backing you up, you're nothing in my eyes. You met Miss Ji before me, but I've never seen you get her. And I, a divorced poor kid, have only known Miss Ji for a few days and already live with her. It's so frustrating to compare people. Jiang Shang held his wine glass and looked at Ling Yun with a smile. That's right. You said I was full of shit, but I made you lose 100 million. Then you are even worse than shit. Son of a bitch, I'll waste you now. Ling Yun, who was almost outraged to spit blood, growled and was about to do it. Chapter 54, The Shameful Past was exposed. Seeing Jiang Shang's verbal attack, which had left Ling Yun utterly humiliated, Wang Manjin and Qi Tianming exchanged glances and secretly gave Jiang Shang a thumbs up. No one had expected Jiang Shang to be such a skilled debunker, not using a single foul word but still managing to make people so angry they could burst into flames. I am now the person in charge of the Ji family's investment in Jiangzhou. If you dare to lay a hand on me, you are laying a hand on the Ji family. Seeing that Ling Yun was about to strike him, Jiang Shang defiantly provoked, plus, I have a relationship with Miss Ji. If you have the guts, go ahead and strike me. Hearing this, everyone looked at Jiang Shang with contemptuous looks. After all this time, this guy is still relying on Miss Ji and the Ji family to bully people. He is shameless. Young master, don't be impulsive. Uncle Yen quickly stepped forward to hold Ling Yun back, reminding him, this is not the time to fight. You just want to force me to fight you first and then complain to Miss Ji. I won't let you get away with it. Ling Yun forced himself to calm down and looked at Jiang Shang with a sinister expression. I don't need to get my hands dirty dealing with trash like you. Then, Ling Yun looked at the people next to Jiang Shang, and his gaze finally settled on Wang Manjin. Fatty, you look a bit familiar to me. Wang Manjin, who had not wanted to say anything, was suddenly called out by name and could only get up helplessly. Hello, Ling Xiao, I am Wang Manjin of the Wang family of Jiangzhou. My father is. I remember now. Ling Yun suddenly understood and interrupted Wang Manjin. The Wang family is the so-called richest family in Jiangzhou. They previously wanted to enter the market in the provincial capital for development, but I stopped them. Right. Wang Manjin was full of resentment about this matter, but he did not dare to show it to Ling Yun's face, so he could only nod awkwardly. The audience sighed with emotion. As the son of the richest man in Jiangzhou, Wang Manjin was definitely the top young master in Jiangzhou, but in front of Ling Yun, he was so humble. This shows how terrifying Ling Yun's strength is. I'll give you a chance now. Ling Yun narrowed his eyes and pointed his finger at Jiang Shang. If you slap this kid a few times right now, I will not only agree to let the Wang family enter the provincial capital market, but I will also use the Ling family's energy to fully support the Wang family's development. How is that? Mr. Ling is joking. Wang Manjin frowned slightly and shook his head. Our family has now learned to behave and no longer has any extravagant desires to develop in the provincial capital. Pop. As soon as Wang Manjin finished speaking, Ling Yun raised his hand and slapped him in the face. How dare you refuse me? Wang Manjin's face turned red as he covered his face, his eyes began to fill with blood, and his body trembled slightly. The son of the richest man in Jiangzhou is a well-known figure in Jiangzhou, and now he has been publicly slapped in the face, which is a great humiliation. I will ask you again, are you going to slap him or not? Ignoring Wang Manjin's anger, Ling Yun coldly questioned. I, Wang Manjin, am not stupid. Jiang Shang has the support of Miss Ji behind him. If you dare not touch him, you will let me be cannon fodder. Wang Manjin stared at Ling Yun with a pale face and sat back on the sofa directly. If you really have the courage and the Ling family really has the strength, then you do it yourself. How dare you? Ling Yun's face turned cold after Wang Manjin revealed his thoughts in public. Since you are so courageous, I will let your Wang family go bankrupt tomorrow. Wang Manjin clenched his fists in an ugly face, but since things had come to this, there was nothing he could do. From the moment he came over and sat with Jiang Shang, he had already expected to be targeted by the Ling family. Of course, even if Wang Manjin and Jiang Shang did not get close, the Ling family would not let the Wang family go, but it would not be so easy. Failing to sway Wang Manjin, Ling Yun turned his head and looked at Qi Tianming. Ling Xiao. I am a civil servant serving the people, and my promotion and transfer are decided by the authorities. Before Ling Yun could speak, Qi Tianming took the lead and said, Does Ling Xiao have the ability to influence how the official system operates? Of course. Young master. Ling Yun was about to speak when he was stopped by Uncle Yan, who reminded him, even if the Ling family really has this ability, you still cannot say it out loud in public, otherwise if it gets out, the consequences will be unimaginable. Ling Yun glanced at the crowd and finally looked coldly at Qi Tianming. Your political career is over. In front of so many people, he could not say that he could influence the operation of the official system. National interests come first, and at least on the surface, the officialdom does not allow the existence of a privileged class. After all, Ling Xiao is not very capable. Jiang Sheng sneered with a smile on his face. It seems that no one wants to help you against me. Little dragon girl, you are the daughter of the best fighter in Jiangzhou. Ling Yun turned his head and looked at a short-haired woman wearing a tight-fitting long skirt behind him. If you just help me teach this kid a lesson, I will immediately transfer Xiao Tian Martial Arts Academy to the provincial capital and fully support it in taking root and developing there. This short-haired woman was one of the 4 people invited by Dong Lao at the beginning, the second-generation martial artist Long Xiaoxia. Unlike Wang Manjin and Qi Tianming, Long Xiaoxia had previously suffered a great humiliation at the hands of Jiang Shang, and today, the first thing she did was to side with Ling Yun, wanting to see Jiang Shang embarrassed. But Long Xiaoxia didn't expect Ling Yun to let her stand out, which made her look like a fool. I'm sorry, Ling Xiao, I'm not dressed to fight today. Long Xiaoxia shook her head tactfully. Long Xiaoxia knew that behind Jiang Shang, apart from Mingyue, there was also a lunatic, Han Ling. She dared not attack Jiang Shang in public, but she could consider assassinating him in secret. You. Ling Yun's face tensed. He didn't expect that Long Xiaoxia, who had surrendered to him, didn't dare to attack Jiang Shang either. Don't waste your energy. Jiang Shang crossed his legs and said with a playful tone, Your Ling family is so arrogant, and you are all afraid to take action against me because of Miss Ji. Then how dare others take action against me? Not everyone is helpless against you. Ling Yun gave a cold smile and said loudly, You must be very curious about who Miss Ji is supporting, Jiang Shang. Hearing this, everyone became interested. When Mingyue supported Jiang Shang to rise to power, many people were curious about Jiang Shang's identity and background. For this reason, many people have investigated Jiang Shang's information. Unfortunately, Jiang Shang was previously an insignificant figure in the Zhao family, and there is too little relevant information. There are not many people who can find out his identity. Up to now, many people in the venue still do not know Jiang Shang's past and are full of curiosity about it. I will now tell you that this Jiang Shang is actually the son-in-law of the Zhao family, a third-rate family in Jiangzhou. After successfully arousing everyone's interest, Ling Yun shouted, before, he was a loser in the Zhao family who could only wash clothes and cook. He was cuckolded by his wife for 3 years and was finally swept out of the house. Hearing this, the whole audience was in an uproar. No one expected that Jiang Shang's past, who had been favored by Mingyue, was so unbearable. Even Wang Manjin and Qi Tianming looked at Jiang Shang in surprise. This was the first time they had heard these things. Jiang Shang's face fell. This unbearable past is definitely Jiang Shang's scar, but now Ling Yun has revealed it in public. Even if he is not easily affected, he has ultimately been affected by her. This can't be true, can it? How could Miss G fall for a spineless loser who has been divorced and cuckolded? It must be fake. Miss G is too good to fall for someone like that. I actually found out a long time ago that Jiang Shang's ex-wife is Xiao Xiangxue, the wife of Lu Shui, the young master of the Lu family, and they have been carrying on behind Jiang Shang's back for more than 3 years. No way, absolutely no way, Miss G is a goddess, she would never look at someone like that. For a moment, the whole room was abuzz with discussion. This gossip was too explosive, but most people just couldn't believe it was true. Quiet. I know there must be someone who doesn't believe what I'm saying. Ling Yun was very satisfied with the reaction of the crowd, and shouted, now please bring out the person in question, Jiang Shang's ex-wife and the person she cheated with, and let them personally tell everyone what kind of person Jiang Shang is. Please, Xiao Xiangxue and Lu Shui. Chapter 55, If you dare to touch the old man, I'll waste you. As Ling Yun finished speaking, Lu Shui and Xiao Xiangxue walked out in front of the crowd. Jiang Shang's face darkened when he saw Xiao Xiangxue and Lu Shui come forward. Miss Xiao, you should be the one who knows the most about Jiang Shang among everyone here. Ling Yun playfully glanced at Jiang Shang and looked at Xiao Xiangxue. You tell everyone now, what kind of person is this kid? Jiang Shang is actually a bastard my grandfather picked up off the street. Without Miss G's backing, he's a worthless piece of trash. Xiao Xiangxue looked at Jiang Shang with contempt. I married him 3 years ago, and he could do nothing in my family except do the laundry and cook. It was precisely because he was useless that I divorced him. Xiao Xiangxue began to vividly describe the life that Jiang Shang had led in the Zhao family, which was worse than that of a pig or a dog. It turns out that this Jiang Shang comes from a family like the Zhao family, which is not up to par. I thought he had some extraordinary identity and background. What comes from the Zhao family, he is just the bastard that the old Zhao picked up from the outside. At this point, everyone seemed to understand Jiang Shang's identity and background, and they began to discuss it. Ling Yun was very satisfied with the reaction of the crowd, but disclosing Jiang Shang's identity and background was far from enough. Jiang Shang. Now everyone knows your identity. Ling Yun looked at Jiang Shang playfully. I think everyone is even more curious about how you were cuckolded for 3 years. Don't push it too far. Jiang Shang stared at Ling Yun with a pale face. In the previous confrontation with Ling Yun, Jiang Shang had an absolute advantage, but now that the past had been dug up, the situation had begun to turn against Jiang Shang. I'm just telling everyone the truth. Seeing Jiang Shang so frustrated, Ling Yun became complacent. Miss Xiao, did you really cuckold Jiang Shang for 3 years? Absolutely. Xiao Xiangxue nodded with certainty. It was my father who forced me to marry this loser, but I never liked him at all. I only loved Master Lu. On our wedding day, I even made out with Master Lu. Swear is telling the truth. Lu Shui looked at Jiang Shang mockingly. At that time, Jiang Shang was busy entertaining the guests, while I was in the wedding room that should have belonged to him, sleeping with his bride. What do you mean his wedding room? After 3 years of marriage, I have never let him sleep in my bed. Xiao Xiangxue flirtatiously gave Lu Shui a look. Only you can sleep in my bed. You shameless slut. Hearing this, Jiang Shang couldn't help but angrily scold. How can you not be ashamed of such a shameless thing, but proud of it instead? You being cuckolded is far more humiliating than me. What am I afraid to say? Xiao Xiangxue shrugged nonchalantly. I want everyone to know what kind of loser you really are. You. Jiang Shang, calm down. When Jiang Shang could no longer hold back, Qi Tianming suddenly pressed his thigh and reminded him, no one can change what has already happened in the past. You must face up to these unbearable past events that you experienced in the Zhao family. Not only will those present today know about these things, but in the future, the entire Jianzhou and even the Ji family will know. If you can't face it, what will you do then? Upon hearing this, Jiang Shang instantly calmed down. In the future, when he goes to the Ji family to marry Ji Mingyue, the Ji family will inevitably learn about these things. If he can't face this unspeakable past, then in the future he won't be able to gain the Ji family's approval, and he won't be able to be with Ji Mingyue. After his state of mind changed, Jiang Shang, who had closed his eyes and entered meditation, once again used his energy, and surprisingly had an unexpected gain, and his cultivation broke through to the 4th level of practicing Qi. Thank you. Thinking about this, Jiang Shang looked at Qi Tianming gratefully, then closed his eyes and meditated in silence. No matter how Xiao Xiangxue and the others provoked him, Jiang Shang was no longer moved. From this moment on, Jiang Shang truly let go of the past. At the same time, Jiang Shang also secretly rejoiced that fortunately he had not killed Xiao Xiangxue and Lu Shuyi at the beginning, otherwise this might become his heart demon, which would be very detrimental to his future cultivation. You shameless bitch, shut up. As everyone pointed fingers at Jiang Shang under Xiao Xiangxue's narration, a figure suddenly rushed to Xiao Xiangxue's face and slapped her. The person who struck was none other than the Xiao family patriarch. Back then, out of selfishness, he let Xiao Xiangxue marry Jiang Shang, causing Jiang Shang to suffer so much humiliation and harm. The patriarch already felt guilty. Now, seeing that Xiao Xiangxue still had no sense of shame and was bringing up the past to humiliate Jiang Shang in public, the old man was completely furious. You have no shame, but the Zhao family still has its pride. The old man's face was red with shame as he stared at Xiao Xiangxue in indignation. You didn't behave like a good wife, you cheated on your husband during the marriage, and you didn't reflect on your actions, and now you're even telling those filthy stories in public. You've disgraced the Xiao family. What I said is the truth. Xiao Xiangxue covered her face and shouted in disbelief, if anyone should be ashamed, it's Jiang Shang, who is far more ashamed than my Zhao family. You're full of shit. As a daughter of the Zhao family, you've done such shameless and disgraceful things. How do you expect outsiders to think of the Zhao family? The old man glared at her and roared fiercely, get back here right now, or I'll banish you from the family. Old man, you're so full of yourself. Before Xiao Xiangxue could respond, Ling Yun suddenly stepped forward and grabbed the old man's neck with his left hand. How dare you yell at me? You must not have died before. Ling Yun used Xiao Xiangxue and Lu Shuyi's story to make everyone despise Jiang Shang, but the old man jumped in to stir up trouble. Naturally, he would not let it go. Jiang Shang could ignore all of Ling Yun's little tricks because he simply didn't take Ling Yun seriously. But the old man had treated Jiang Shang like his own son, and his kindness was like a mountain. If Ling Yun dared to lay a hand on the old man, Jiang Shang would no longer tolerate him. Seeing Jiang Shang, who had remained unmoved even when humiliated like Xiao Xiangxue and Lu Shuyi, unable to sit still any longer, Ling Yun laughed, so this old guy is your weak spot. Cut the crap. Jiang Shang slowly got up and said in a cold tone, if you let go of the old man now, I can let you off on Mingyue's behalf, otherwise I will waste you today. Ha ha ha. Upon hearing this, Ling Yun burst out laughing. For a loser like you who has been silent for 3 years after being cheated on, you actually want to waste me? What a big joke. Almost everyone looked at Jiang Shang with the same look they would give an idiot. No one in the entire Jiangzhou city would dare to lay a finger on Ling Yun, and Jiang Shang, who had just been defined as a loser, actually spoke out with arrogance, which was ridiculous. Unlike the others, Uncle Yan moved to Ling Yun's side the moment Jiang Shang stood up. As long as Jiang Shang messed around and dared to take the first shot at Ling Yun, then Uncle Yan would not have to consider Ji Mingyue's deterrence and could strike Jiang Shang without hesitation. This was called self-defense. I'll kill this old guy right now, and see what you can do about it. After laughing, Ling Yun's face turned cold, and he slammed a punch at the old man's face. Without sufficient reason, Ling Yun was afraid of Ji Mingyue and dared not strike Jiang Shang. But killing Zhao's old man was no pressure at all for Ling Yun, even though he didn't know that. This move would cause him so much trouble. Chapter 56, A Punch That Makes Him Spit Blood. Next, it was Ling's turn. Everyone present was stunned and no one dared to say a word to stop him as they watched him take action against the old man. As the young master of the provincial capital, Ling Yun not only could he take care of the old master of an inferior family like the Xiao family, even Wang Bancheng, the richest man in Jiangzhou, would have no choice but to be beaten in front of him. Everyone looked at the old man with pity, and many of the female guests couldn't bear to look anymore and closed their eyes, as if they could already see the miserable end of the old man being beaten beyond recognition. When Ling Yun swung his fist at the old man, Jiang Shang moved. No one else dared to stop him, but he could not bear to see the old man beaten. Seeing Jiang Shang take action, Yan Shu's eyes flashed with cold light, and a terrifying aura burst forth from his body, directly forcing the onlookers to retreat. Jiang Shang had long known that this Yin Shu was a master, but at this moment, without even looking at the other person, he directly increased his speed to the extreme and charged towards Ling Yun like lightning. Kid, you're looking for death yourself. He was sure that Jiang Shang was going for Ling Yun, so Uncle Yen shouted angrily, stood in front of Ling Yun, and smashed his fists with internal strength at Jiang Shang. Get out of the way. Facing Uncle Yen's fists, Jiang Shang snorted, took a strange step with his feet, and his body almost slid past Uncle Yen's fists, bypassing Uncle Yen's block. Oh no! He didn't expect Jiang Shang's body movements and reaction speed to be so agile. Uncle Yen's face suddenly changed, but it was already too late to stop. The movements of Jiang Shang and Uncle Yen happened in the blink of an eye. By the time Jiang Shang charged at Ling Yun's fist had not yet touched the old man's face. The next moment, Jiang Shang's left hand blocked Ling Yun's fist, and his right hand pinched Ling Yun's left wrist and applied a sharp force. Crack! Jiang Shang's attack this time was a true display of anger, and he directly snapped Ling Yun's wrist, causing him to let go of the old man's neck. Ah! Ling Yun screamed, covering his broken wrist and backing away repeatedly. Young master, are you okay? Uncle Yen couldn't care about attacking Jiang Shang and rushed to Ling Yun's side. Jiang Shang supported the old man and asked with concern, "Are you okay, old master?" Jiang Shang, I'm sorry. The old man looked at Jiang Shang with red eyes and said, I shouldn't have let you marry Xiao Xiangxue for my own selfish reasons, otherwise you wouldn't. It's all in the past. I've let it go, so please don't say anything more about it. Jiang Shang interrupted the old man with a smile, helped him onto the sofa, and said, Take a rest, I need to take care of something. Young master, your wrist is broken. Uncle Yen looked at Ling Yun with concern after a thorough examination and said, I'll take you to the hospital now. I'm not going. Ling Yun's face paled, and he looked at Jiang Shang with clenched teeth and said, Jiang Shang, you scum actually dared to hurt me, I won't let you go. Now I won't let you go. After settling the old man, Jiang Shang turned around and looked at Ling Yun coldly. I told you, if you dare to touch the old man, I will waste you today. You son of a bitch, you are too arrogant. Facing Ling Yun's cold gaze, Ling Yun was first flustered, then angrily yelled, Uncle Yen, you get him for me. Yes. The young master was injured in front of him, and Uncle Yen was very embarrassed. He turned around and coldly stared at Jiang Shang. Boy. Since you hurt my young master first, I'll kill you. Even if Miss Ji pursues this, I was acting in self-defense. No need for nonsense, if you've got what it takes, just come at me. Jiang Shang stretched his muscles, knowing that he couldn't move Ling Yun without dealing with this Yin Shu, and directly took up a fighting stance and prepared to do battle. Brother Jiang, this person is called Yen Pijuan and is the Ling family's #1 expert. It is said that he already has the strength of a late-stage internal strength master. Wang Manjin anxiously spoke up to warn, you must be careful. The Ling family's top expert? Jiang Shang narrowed his eyes and sneered, in other words, after I kill him, the Ling family will have no one strong left. Seeing Jiang Shang strike a pose that he was sure to win, Uncle Yen was furious, you brat are looking for death. After taking a deep breath, the muscles on Uncle Yen's body began to expand rapidly, his arms bursting through his sleeves, revealing blocks of muscle like iron bars. After a moment of gathering his strength, Uncle Yen swung his fists and charged ferociously at Jiang Shang. Facing the menacing Uncle Yen, Jiang Shang sank his waist and raised his fists, condensing his true energy on his fists and smashing forward fiercely. Dare to fight me head-on, you're looking for death. Originally, he was worried that Jiang Shang would use his agile bodywork to outmaneuver him, but when he saw that Jiang Shang was actually going to fist-fight him, Uncle Yen was overjoyed and frantically condensed his internal energy. With a muffled thud, the two men's fists smashed together in the air. The next moment, Uncle Yen's right arm snapped directly, and his body flew backwards out of control, spitting blood in the air. Seeing this, everyone in the crowd was dumbfounded. No one expected Jiang Shang to have such strength, and he punched the Ling family's top expert and made him spit blood. When did this useless Jiang Shang become so powerful? Xiao Xiangxue stared with wide eyes, unable to believe what he saw as Jiang Shang unleashed his full power. He seems to be countless times more powerful than when he hit me before. Lu Shu swallowed hard, unconsciously taking a step back. If he hits me with a punch now, I'll definitely be blown away. We'd better not provoke him in the future, otherwise if he goes crazy, there won't be enough of us in the Zhao family to fight him alone. Zhao Tianming and Wu Zhu in the crowd were scared white. Fortunately, Jiang Shang did not use his full strength when he hit them, otherwise they would have been killed long ago. So this is what the so-called Ling family's #1 expert is capable of. Jiang Shang stood in place, retracting his fist and disdainfully pursing his lips, but secretly feeling a sense of relief. Yan Pijuan's strength was even a little stronger than Han Ling when she was possessed by the mermaid charm. Fortunately, I had an epiphany just now and broke through to the 4th level of Qi cultivation, otherwise it really wouldn't have been that easy to defeat him. You are actually a master of internal strength. Uncle Yan fell to the ground, ignoring the injury to his right arm, and looked at Jiang Shang in horror. Jiang Shang frowned slightly. It seemed that his cultivation of the 4th level of Qi was equivalent to the standard of a martial arts master. Young master, run! While Jiang Shang was in a daze, Uncle Yan suddenly yelled at Ling Yun, he is a martial arts master, I am no match for him, you run. How is this possible? Upon hearing this, Ling Yun not only did not run, but instead sat down on the ground in confusion. Everyone else was also stunned. A master of internal strength. That's a martial arts master who is qualified to start a school. In the entire Jiangzhou territory, there are only 2 masters of internal strength, Long Xiaoxia, the owner of Outyan Martial Arts Academy, and Guo Zhang, the owner of Dadi Martial Arts Academy. Then how did Jiang Shang suddenly become a master of internal strength when he was clearly a loser who didn't dare say a word when he was cuckolded? Although many people present did not believe it was true, it was an indisputable fact that Yan Pijuan, the top Ling family martial artist, had been defeated by Jiang Shang in one punch. After this battle, no one would dare say that Jiang Shang was a wimp who could only rely on women. Next, it was Ling's turn. Before everyone could react from the shock, Jiang Shang strode towards Ling Yun. Next, it was time to make this Ling family young master pay the price. Chapter 57, No discussion about disablement. No need to explain to the Ling family. Jiang Shang, what do you want? Seeing Jiang Shang walking towards him, Ling Yun moved backwards in horror. I told you, if you dare to touch the old man, I'll disable you. Jiang Shang licked his lips and said coldly, for the sake of Mingyue, I'll only disable one of your legs today. Hearing Jiang Shang's words, the whole audience was in an uproar. No one expected Jiang Shang to actually cripple Ling Yun. He was the eldest son of the Ling family in the provincial capital, and to move him was to make an enemy of the entire family. You, don't do anything rash, I am the heir of the Ling family. Ling Yun was also shocked by Jiang Shang's words. While moving his body backwards, he yelled in alarm, if you dare to move me, my father and the Ling family will never let you go. This is the difference between you and me. Jiang Shang looked at Ling Yun with disdain, you want to move me, but you are afraid of offending Miss Ji and dare not take any action. But when I want to move you, I won't care about the Ling family or not, and I will waste you without discussion. As soon as he finished speaking, Jiang Shang raised his hand and slapped Ling Yun hard in the face, knocking out both of Ling Yun's front teeth. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but step back, realizing that Jiang Shang really dared to lay hands on Ling Yun and that he had gone so far as to hit him so hard, he was simply crazy. You son of a bitch, you dare to hit me, I will get you. After receiving the slap, Ling Yun was ashamed and indignant, and stared at Jiang Shang viciously. This slap is for you from me, Fat Wang. Jiang Shang shook his hand and said coldly, next, it's about you hitting my old man. SSSSSSSSSSSS. Hearing this, Wang Manjin gasped in shock, secretly complaining to himself, Big brother. You can hit him, but why bring me into it? My family can't afford to mess with someone like you. Although Wang Manjin was scared, he still felt very relieved to see Jiang Shang sticking up for him. Jiang Shang, calm down. Realizing that Jiang Shang was really daring to lay a hand on him, Ling Yun's tone softened and he stuttered, I can apologize to you, so please don't do anything rash. If you let me go, I'll leave Jiangzhou immediately and never compete with you for Miss Ji again. You are not yet worthy to compete with me for Miss Ji. Jiang Shang smiled proudly and said coldly, you have touched my bottom line. I will definitely take your leg, and no one can protect it, not even the King of Heaven. I don't believe you really dare to move me. Seeing that begging for mercy was useless, Ling Yun widened his eyes and roared viciously, if you move me, my father and the Ling family will definitely do their utmost to make sure you die without a burial place. Everyone related to you will also suffer together. You. Before Ling Yun finished speaking, Jiang Shang slammed his right leg with a kick, breaking it. Ah! Ling Yun let out a scream, and immediately fainted from the pain. What a bullshit provincial city young master, so much nonsense. Jiang Shang looked at Ling Yun contemptuously, then turned around and said coldly, you all now know what kind of person I am, so you all remember my name, I am Jiang Shang. As soon as he finished speaking, Jiang Shang walked over to the old man Zhao and helped him walk out together, leaving the meeting without looking back. Until Jiang Shang left the banquet hall, there was still silence in the meeting place. No one expected that Jiang Shang would actually disable Ling Yun. This is a real mess.
The Ling family is a powerful family in Jiangdong province.
The heir being disinherited will surely be furious, and Jiangzhou is about to face a terrifying storm.
After this battle, although Jiang Shang's unsavory past was revealed, Jiang Shang also became famous after this battle. Disinheriting the young master of the Ling family in public means that as long as Jiang Shang can withstand the Ling family's retaliation, no one in Jiangzhou will dare to provoke him in the future. They watched as Ling Yun, who had previously been arrogant and no one dared to provoke, was disowned by Jiang Shang. Xiao Xiangxue and Lu Shu hid in the crowd with pale faces, trembling with fear. Those who had previously mocked and ridiculed Jiang Shang were also frightened and trembling with fear. Jiang Shang even dared to disown Ling Yun's eldest son. If they retaliated, they would be dead. Ling Yun, who had originally wanted to use this banquet to establish himself in Jiangzhou and even declare his love for Mingyue, was first made to look like a fool by Jiang Shang, and then finally publicly disowned by him, humiliated beyond belief. Heavenly Palace on the Cloud. Mingyue was sitting on the sofa, smugly wearing a face mask and watching TV, when Qi Xiaoyuan rushed in, holding a palm-top computer. "Miss, this Jiang Shang has gone too far." Qi Xiaoyuan ran angrily up to Mingyue. "He took advantage of his relationship with you and publicly demoted Ling Yun. He's got some nerve." Ling Yun was demoted?
Mingyue was stunned for a moment, and curiously urged, "Tell me, what happened?" "Just watch for yourself, this is a video our people took at the banquet." Xiaoyuan placed the computer in front of Mingyue and angrily said, "This Jiang Shang has no self-awareness, he actually..."
"Shut up,"
Mingyue said lightly, then opened the video to watch. The more she watched, the more excited she became. Good, he's a man worthy of me, he's got guts."
"Jiang Shang is taking advantage of your relationship to do whatever he wants, and you're not angry?" Xiao Yuan looked at Mingyue blankly, suddenly feeling that women in love really don't seem to have any brains. "How do you know that he's taking advantage of my relationship?" Mingyue asked with a smile.
"If it weren't for the fact that he has Miss by his side to back him up, just a useless ordinary person like him, where would he get the nerve to ignore a colossus like the Ling family?" Xiao Yuan said seriously, "If it weren't for Mrs. Connections, I'm afraid he would have been killed by Ling Yun a long time ago."
"This is the biggest difference between him and Ling Yun."
Mingyue narrowed his eyes and said playfully, "Ling Yun definitely wants to kill Jiang Shang very much, but he is afraid of my existence and dares not do anything to Jiang Shang. Jiang Shang, on the other hand, has no regard for the Ling family's power. He wants to get rid of Ling Yun, so he just goes ahead and does it.
That's a real husband who dares to act." Xiao Yuan's mouth twitched, and she looked at Mingyue speechlessly.
In her opinion, the reason Jiang Shang dared to do this was entirely because of Mingyue's relationship.
"Miss,
Ling Yun came to Jiangzhou to chase after you, and now he's been disabled by Jiang Shang.
How are you going to explain this to the Ling family?" Xiao Yuan worriedly reminded. "Explain?"
Mingyue gave a cold smile, reached out and tore off the mask on her face, and said imperiously, "Why would I, Mingyue, need to explain to the Ling family?
Are they even a match? The Ling family really isn't a match. Miss, how did your skin become so much better?" Xiao Yuan suddenly stared in shock at Mingyue's face. "What kind of mask did you use? This effect is just too miraculous."
At this moment, Mingyue's skin had become even more white and tender and smooth than before, like that of a baby, making her even more beautiful and charming. "This is not the effect of a mask." Mingyue suddenly became excited, rolled up her sleeves to reveal her snow-white arms, and said proudly, "I took the nourishing cream pill that Jiang Shang made for me, and not only did my skin look 10 years younger, but all the small imperfections on my body disappeared as well."
Chapter 58 Ling Family Head Ling Fang. The domineering Mingyue. Nourishing cream pill? Is there really such a miraculous thing in the world? Xiao Yuan looked around at Mingyue in shock, pleading, "Miss, can you ask Jiang Shang to make me an Inktoden too? I can pay, I don't care how much it costs." No woman in the world doesn't love beauty, and seeing the miraculous changes that Mingyue had undergone after taking the Inktoden, Xiao Yuan immediately put aside the matter of Jiang Shang abandoning Ling Yun. When Jiang Shang returned to the Cloudtop Palace with the old man, Mingyue and Xiao Yuan were chatting away in the living room about the effects of the beauty elixir. Seeing Jiang Shang return, the two women quickly shut up and looked at the old man suspiciously. "I have met Miss Qi."
Old man Zhao was truly amazed by the luxury and grandeur of the Cloudtop Palace when he entered it for the first time. He stood uneasily next to Jiang Shang and bowed to Mingyue.
"Moon." Jiang Shang looked at Mingyue with some embarrassment. "Can you let the old man stay here with me for a few days?" "Jiang Shang, you're too kind."
The old man is your elder, which means he is my elder, so of course he can stay here. Ji Mingyue stopped Ji Xiaoyuan from speaking and smiled as she got up. There are plenty of rooms here, so the old man can stay as long as he wants.
Thank you, thank you.
Jiang Shang and the old man thanked her together, and Jiang Shang then went to settle the old man in.
Miss,
you spoil Jiang Shang too much. Xiao Yuan complained discontentedly. It's fine for him to live in your palace, but now he's even got an old guy living in with him.
He really doesn't consider himself an outsider.
He's my boyfriend, so of course he's not an outsider. Ji Mingyue ran her fingers along her chin. She understood that Jiang Shang had gotten the old man here because he was afraid of the Ling family taking revenge on him. Even if he is your boyfriend, you can't just ignore the fact that you still want the Ningtan pill.
Ji Mingyue interrupted Xiao Yuan curtly.
Of course I want it, but I can't stand by and watch you suffer. Xiao Yuan nodded awkwardly and said unhappily, just wait and see, Jiang Shang will soon come to beg you to help him deal with the Ling family.
Ji Mingyue frowned slightly and didn't say anything.
After settling the old man, Jiang Shang returned to the living room and walked a little embarrassed to Ji Mingyue. Mingyue, I have something I want to ask you for help.
Just as I thought. Xiao Yuan stood next to Ji Mingyue and gave a disdainful snort.
You and I don't need to be polite with each other, just tell me what you need. Ji Mingyue smiled. Even if Jiang Shang asked her to help deal with the Ling family, she would not hesitate to help.
I want you to help me keep the old man safe.
Jiang Shang looked at Ji Mingyue seriously.
Is this the only thing you need my help with? Ji Mingyue was slightly surprised and said uncertainly, isn't there anything else?
Just this one thing. Jiang Shang nodded firmly, I can handle the other matters myself. Jiang Shang, you have ruined Ling Yun, and the Ling family will definitely retaliate furiously.
Xiao Yuan couldn't help but ask, are you sure you don't need our help? You already know?
Jiang Shang was slightly taken aback, but then he reacted, I can handle the Ling family myself.
Since I dared to ruin Ling Yun, I am prepared to bear the Ling family's retaliation. Do you need me to step in to calm the Ling family's anger? Ji Mingyue asked with concern. There's no need. I can't rely on you for everything.
Jiang Shang decisively shook his head and said proudly, if I can't even deal with the Ling family, how can I fight against those even more powerful rivals in the future?
You're right. The Ling family is just your first test. Ji Mingyue smiled with satisfaction and encouraged, go ahead and do it.
I promise that no one will be able to hurt Grandpa Zhao.
I'll leave it to you then.
Jiang Shang let out a sigh of relief, then turned around and returned to the bedroom to practice.
What do you think? My man is very courageous, isn't he? Ji Mingyue looked at Ji Xiaoyuan with pride. It was indeed a bit unexpected, but could he really withstand the Ling family's retaliation? Ji Xiaoyuan looked doubtfully at Jiang Shang's room. I believe he has that ability.
Ji Mingyue's eyes flashed with brilliance, and she whispered, even if the worst comes to the worst, I will be there for him, so there is no need to worry about his life.
Oh dear. Miss, why didn't you ask him to help me refine the nourishing fat pill? Xiao Yuan looked at Ji Mingyue pitifully, if he gets killed by the Ling family, then there's no hope for my nourishing fat pill. Early the next morning, Ling Fang, the head of the Ling family, appeared in the intensive care unit of Jiangzhou Central Hospital. Doctor, how is my son's leg? With a stern face and a burly figure, Ling Fang stared at Ling Yun on the hospital bed with a pale face and asked the doctor next to him. Mr. Ling, I'm sorry, we've done all we can. The doctor, wearing a mask, said helplessly, Mr. Ling, your son's leg bones have been crushed, there is no chance of recovery. Dad, you must avenge me. Upon hearing that his leg was completely useless, Ling Yun could not help but cry, even if Jiang Shang has Ji Mingyue's support, I will still dismember that bastard into a million pieces. Son, you must rest and recuperate. When he heard that his son had been crippled, Ling Fang was furious. His eyes were red with rage as he said, the Ling family and I will avenge you, and even Ji Mingyue cannot stop us. I'll go to our office now and demand an explanation. Soon afterwards, Ling Fang stormed angrily to the Ji family office and, ignoring the staff's attempts to stop him, barged into Ji Mingyue's office. Uncle Ling, what are you doing here? Ji Mingyue waved her hand to signal the security guard to let her through, and greeted Ling Fang with a smile. Ji Mingyue, don't pretend to be stupid. My son went to Jiangzhou to pursue you, but he was beaten by Jiang Shang, one of your subordinates, and became disabled as a result. Ling Fang stared at Ji Mingyue with anger on his face, if you don't give me an explanation today, I won't let it go. Ling Fang, who gave you the nerve to speak to me like this? Hearing this, Ji Mingyue's expression instantly returned to ice cold, and he slammed the document in his hand onto the table, saying imperiously, "Even your old superior Dong Tianbao didn't have the guts to speak to me like this." You saw Ji Mingyue lose his temper, and Ling Fang suddenly woke up from the anger of his son being disqualified, and only then did he remember Ji Mingyue's terrifying identity. "Ling Fang, let me tell you, for the sake of old Dong, I can call you Uncle Ling." Ji Mingyue slowly got up, exuding a powerful aura, and said coldly, "But if you don't know how to take a hint, then don't blame me for embarrassing even old Dong." "Miss Ji, I'm sorry." After regaining his composure, Ling Fang hurriedly apologized to Ji Mingyue, complaining, "I was so distraught because my son was disowned that I spoke out of turn. Please understand. For old Dong's sake, I won't hold this against you, but it won't happen again." Facing Ling Fang, who instantly admitted defeat, Ji Mingyue did not let him get away with it. After sitting back in her chair, she said coldly, "I have heard about what happened to Ling Yun and deeply regret it, but I had nothing to do with it. You've got the wrong person. You should go to Jiang. Chapter 59, Neither side will help. It's a trap, there's no escape. Miss Ji, Jiang is your subordinate." Upon hearing Ji Mingyue's words, Ling Fang complained, "My son was crippled by him, so naturally I'm coming to you. First of all, Jiang is not my subordinate, we interact as equals." Ji Mingyue interrupted Ling Fang and declared, "Second, the trouble he caused has nothing to do with me. This is between Jiang and your Ling family, I'm not taking the blame. Then how the Ling family deals with Jiang next has nothing to do with Miss Ji." Ling Fang's eyes lit up, and he stared at Ji Mingyue intently. "Are you sure you don't care about Jiang's business? If Ji Mingyue insists on backing Jiang, then even if the Ling family wants to get Jiang, they can't. After all, the Ling family dares not offend Ji Mingyue. But if Ji Mingyue doesn't help either side, then the Ling family will never let Jiang go. Yes. I won't interfere in the feud between Jiang and the Ling family." Ji Mingyue hesitated for a moment, but still chose to believe Jiang and let him face it alone. "Good. With Miss Ji's words, then I know what to do next." Ling Fang's eyes flashed with cold light, and then he turned around and walked out. "Miss is so clear about not helping either side, aren't you afraid that Jiang will die at the hands of the Ling family?" After Ling Fang left, Xiao Yuan asked Ji Mingyue in puzzlement. "Jiang and I are together, and the people and things we will face in the future are far more complicated than the Ling family." Ji Mingyue rested her chin in her hands and responded, "I can protect him for a while, but not forever. Sooner or later, he will have to grow up and take charge on his own. Are you prepared to let the Ling family do whatever they want, so that Jiang can learn about the tactics of these people?" Xiao Yuan suddenly realized, and sighed with emotion, "You really have a good heart for Jiang." 10 a.m. While Jiang was playing chess with Grandpa Zhao in the courtyard, an unexpected guest arrived at the cloud-capped palace. "What are you doing here?" At the gate, Jiang asked Yen Pijuan, who had a cast on his arm, with confusion. Yen Pijuan, whose right arm had been disabled, looked at Jiang expressionlessly and introduced, "The Ling family head is hosting a banquet at Wangjiang Pavilion this noon. Please go there to settle the matter of Ling Xiao being injured. Wangjiang Pavilion, located by the river in the suburbs, is really a good place to kill someone and dump the body." Jiang's face became strange. Just from the location of the banquet, one could tell that the Ling family was setting a trap. Looking at Jiang's expression, Yen Pijuan mocked, "You are a master of internal strength, are you still afraid to go to the appointment? The method of provoking me is useless." Jiang gave Yen Pijuan a cold stare and said disdainfully, "But I have to give an account to the Ling family for disabling Ling Yun, so I will go to the appointment on time. If you have the guts, we will meet at noon." Yen Pijuan gave a cold smile and then turned and left. "Jiang, are you really going to keep your appointment?" Old Master Xiao came over and worriedly reminded him, "The Ling family is a powerful clan in the provincial capital, and you crippled Ling Yun, so the Ling family will definitely not let you off. It's really not worth it for you to make an enemy of such a huge family just for an old thing like me." "Don't worry, old master," Jiang said nonchalantly, "even the so-called top fighter of the Ling family is no match for me, so the others are even less of a threat to me. Yen Pijuan is only a master kept by the Ling family, and Ling Fang, the family head, once served in the Jiangdong War Department and is also a master." The old man hurriedly reminded him, "And with the strength of the Ling family, they can easily hire powerful outsiders to deal with you. If you can reconcile, you'd better not make an enemy of the Ling family." "You make sense." Jiang thought about it for a while, first calling Huang Long and Honghu,
then returning to his room to refine a pill that would regenerate muscles and mend bones. If the Ling family is reasonable, then Jiang Shang is prepared to help Ling Yun heal his leg and restore it to its former state. But if the Ling family insists on going to war, then Jiang Shang is not afraid. Noon. Jiang Shang took a taxi to Wangjiang Pavilion. As soon as he entered the lobby, he felt the murderous intent all around him. It seems that the Ling family has ambushed quite a few people here. Jiang Shang smiled faintly, touched the bone-regenerating pill in his pocket, and walked into the elevator to the private room where Ling Fang was. Entering the private room, Jiang Shang saw Ling Fang, a burly man with an extraordinary air of power, sitting in a big chair, staring coldly at him. Yan Pijuan, who had lost an arm, stood expressionlessly behind Ling Fang. "You are Jiang Shang, who injured my son." Ling Fang spoke first, coldly. "I am Ling Yun's father, Ling Fang, head of the Ling family." "I am Jiang Shang, I have the honor to meet Mr. Ling." Jiang Shang politely bowed to the other party and explained, "Regarding the matter between me and Ling Xiao. You don't need to give me any nonsense. You hurt my son, so you must pay the price." Ling Fang domineeringly waved his hand to interrupt Jiang Shang and said coldly, "For the sake of Miss Ji, I can let you live. You only need to cut off your legs, go to the hospital, kneel down and apologize to my son, and double the 100 million you cheated from my son, and I will let bygones be bygones." Upon hearing this, Jiang Shang gave a satanic smile. He was willing to make peace with the Ling family, but Ling Fang was even more unreasonable than Ling Yun, so there was no need for peace talks. "Mr. Ling, didn't you first ask clearly what your son had done before I disabled him?" Jiang Shang stood up straight and narrowed his eyes as he questioned. "Humph. No matter what my son has done, you deserve to die for hurting him." Ling Fang slowly got up and turned his head sharply, kicking Yan Pijuan in the left leg. Crack! Ah! Accompanied by a sound of bone breaking, Yan Pijuan screamed and fell to the ground, his left leg having been directly kicked off. Seeing this, Jiang Shang frowned and asked in puzzlement, "Mr. Ling, what are you doing? The Ling family spends a lot of money to raise him every year, but he failed to protect my son." Ling Fang looked at Yan Pijuan, who was lying on the ground, with disgust. "My family does not raise useless people. I declare that you are expelled from the Ling family." Yan Pijuan covered his broken leg with a pale face, full of grievances and coldness. He had his arm broken by Jiang Shang in order to protect Ling Yun, but not only did Ling Fang not comfort him, he also broke his other leg and expelled him from the Ling family. How heartless! What kind of logic is this? Jiang Shang rolled his eyes in disbelief. "I crippled Ling Yun, and he did his best to protect him, but he just wasn't as strong as I am. After I've taught him a lesson, it'll be your turn." Ling Fang stared at Jiang Shang with cold light in his eyes. "Are you going to cut off your own legs and then kneel down to apologize and pay compensation, or do you want me to do it myself? What a brute, I'll see what you're capable of." Jiang Shang gave a cold smile, moving his joints while brimming with fighting spirit, and said, "I heard that you served in the military department and must have several fighting styles. Then let me appreciate your excellence. An ant is an ant. Do you think that at my level I would fight with trash like you at the bottom?" Ling Fang gave a contemptuous smile, picked up the teacup on the table, and slammed it onto the ground. He said coldly, "Even if you are a master of internal strength, you will not be able to escape today." Crack! Bang! The moment the cup shattered, the door to the room was broken down. A group of powerful-looking swordsmen armed with long swords entered one after the other, surrounding Jiang Shang. Chapter 60, Declare War and Bankrupt the Ling Family. Kid. I have ambushed 200 Ling family elites inside Wangjiang Pavilion. After dropping the cup as a signal to call in the ambushers, Ling Fang sat back in his chair and looked at Jiang Shang coldly. "These are all retired members of the military department who once followed me into battle to kill the enemy. Even if you are a master of internal strength, don't even think about getting away with it. If you know what's good for you, you'll do as I say, or I'll leave you in pieces. I wouldn't dare come here without being prepared. You might as well look out the window." Jiang Shang gave a casual glance at the surrounding swordsmen and said with a smile, "You'll lose badly if you pit your numbers against mine. Without Miss Ji's backing, what can you, a useless son-in-law from a small family, do?" Upon hearing Jiang Shang's words, Ling Fang sneered with disdain, saying, "And no one in Jiangzhou has the guts to stand up for you. Master, look out the window." Just then, someone suddenly interrupted Ling Fang's words with a scream. Ling Fang frowned slightly, glanced at Jiang Shang, who was full of mockery, and then got up and walked towards the window, his face changing slightly. Outside the window, there was a sea of people. Countless people armed with equipment and wearing masks had surrounded Wangjiang Pavilion. There were thousands of people, and many of them were armed with sandblasters, far more heavily armed than the Ling family. After all, the Lings came from the military, and they simply didn't have the guts to hide firearms. These people outside, however, had no such scruples and had even brought out their guns.
Are these your people? Ling Fang asked Jiang Shang with a gloomy face. He never dreamed that the useless son-in-law of a small family could mobilize so many people. The issue was, where did all these people come from? Even if Mingyue wanted to mobilize so many people at once in Jiangzhou, it would be very difficult, but Jiang Shang managed to do it. Ling Fang never dreamed that the two major forces that now dominate the Jiangzhou underworld, the Heaven and Earth Alliance and the Righteous Assembly, both looked up to Jiang Shang. Although these two forces are limited in strength, they have a lot of people, and they are all outlaws. If they really go to war, then with the Ling family's current manpower in Jiangzhou, they really are no match for the Heaven and Earth Alliance and the Righteous Assembly. You shouldn't frame innocent people. I don't know these people at all. Facing Ling Fang's questioning, Jiang Shang poured himself a cup of tea and calmly said, I don't know why they gathered here either. Aren't these your men from the Ling family? Damn it! Ling Fang let out an expletive, but he didn't expect Jiang Shang to be so cunning and leave no room for doubt. These people outside are obviously Jiang Shang's men, but Jiang Shang has distanced himself from them. Even if the two sides fight each other and attract official investigation, Jiang Shang will not have to bear any responsibility. He is so cunning. What do you think? Jiang Shang sipped his tea contentedly and looked at Ling Fang playfully. Are you still going to do anything to me? Kid, don't get carried away. Ling Fang narrowed his eyes and said coldly, my Ling family is a powerful family in the provincial capital, and the methods we can use are beyond the imagination of an ant like you. Apart from force, I have countless ways to make you and the people around you wish you were dead. Don't threaten me with meaningless words. Jiang Shang shrugged nonchalantly, I'm all alone, so I really don't care about that. Really? I heard that you beat my son seriously because of an old guy. Ling Fang licked his lips and said coldly, I've investigated, and right now the old guy is hiding at Mingyue's place, but he can't hide forever. One day, he will leave Mingyue's protection, and when that happens, I will definitely skin the old bastard alive and tear him apart. Upon hearing this, Jiang Shang, who had been smiling all along, turned cold. So far, the only people Jiang Shang cared about were Mingyue and the old man. There was no need to worry about Mingyue's safety at all, but the old man was just a small figure. If the Ling family were to keep an eye on him, the consequences would be unimaginable. I originally didn't want to get too involved with the Ling family because of Miss Ji. Jiang Shang put down his teacup and said coldly, but you dare to threaten me with the old man and force things to the extreme, so don't blame me for being rude. Ha ha ha. What can you do if you're rude? Ling Fang laughed loudly and arrogantly said, my Ling family is one of the Jiangdong's most powerful families, and a small character like you can't do anything to my family. I want to declare war on the Ling family. Jiang Shang said, word for word, I want your family to go bankrupt and lose everything. Ha ha ha. Ling Fang was stunned at first, then burst out laughing, as if he had heard the biggest joke in the world. You are really the world's #1 bragger. Not to mention that Jiang Shang is just a nobody in Jiangzhou, even the richest man in Jiangzhou, Wang Manjin, doesn't have the guts to say such a big lie as bankrupting the Ling family. We'll see if you're bluffing. Jiang Shang gave a faint smile and then got up. It seems that you and I won't be fighting today. If there's nothing else, I'll be going. Ling Fang glanced out the window at the dark crowd and didn't say a word. He really wanted to order Jiang Shang to be killed with 100 knives, but now there were only Jiang Shang's people outside, and if he did that, it would be the Ling family that would be surrounded and wiped out. Besides, Jiang Shang is after all a master of internal strength, and Ling Fang is not absolutely sure that he can leave him behind, otherwise he would have done it a long time ago. That's right. After Jiang Shang got up, he looked down at Yin Pijuan, who was lying on the ground. A gentleman chooses a good tree to perch on. Do you want to continue to follow this cold-blooded and ruthless master, or come with me? I'll go with you. Yin Pijuan, who had already completely lost heart to the Ling family, made his position clear without hesitation, and supported himself up despite the pain. Yin Pijuan, you failed to protect my son, and amputating your leg is the punishment you deserve. Seeing this, Ling Fang's face turned cold. Although I, the Ling family, will not keep you, if you go with him now, you will be an enemy of the Ling family, and I will not cherish old feelings for you in the future. My limbs are a repayment for your old kindness from the Ling family. Yin Pijuan responded with clenched teeth, limping firmly towards Jiang Shang. Farewell.
Jiang Shang reached out to help Yan Pijuan up, and with a group of swordsmen surrounding him, he walked calmly out the door.
Before long, the news that Jiang Shang had declared war on the Ling family and threatened to bankrupt them spread throughout Jiangzhou.
Everyone thought Jiang Shang was crazy and laughed at his hubris and delusions. Leaving Wangjiang Pavilion, Jiang Shang took Yan Pijuan back to the heavenly palace at the top of the mountain. My broken arm and leg have healed so quickly, they will be completely healed in just a few days. Yan Pijuan stood in the courtyard, powerfully performing a set of boxing moves, and asked Jiang Shang in shock, "What kind of pill is this? It's so miraculous." That was the raw muscle and bone restoring pill that I originally wanted to use to heal Ling Yun's leg and reconcile with the Ling family. Jiang Shang sat in a chair and casually responded, "But I had a falling out with Ling Fang, so you're lucky to get this pill." "Thank you, sir, for your kindness." Yan Pijuan suddenly knelt before Jiang Shang and said gratefully, "From now on, I, Yan Pijuan, am willing to follow you, no matter what. Get up." Jiang Shang helped Yan Pijuan up and narrowed his eyes and said, "Tell me everything you know about the Ling family." Jiang Shang saved Yan Pijuan for two reasons. On the one hand, he was impressed by Yan Pijuan's identity as a martial artist, which would give him an understanding of the martial arts system. On the other hand, he wanted to find out information about the Ling family from Yan Pijuan, so that he could know his enemy and bring down the Ling family. Jiang Shang declared war on the Ling family, and his intention to bankrupt the family was no idle threat. He was truly determined to bring down this giant.